Welcome back to the home of football. The rain has stopped momentarily as the two captains, Anthony Koutoufides and David Hill, toss the coin. The Bombers have won the toss. They'll kick to the right of screen. This is a massive game. I know it's the bottom end of the ladder, but pride, which can sometimes be overstated, means so very much. James Brayshaw joins us. Welcome to you, Jim. It'll be a beauty.
Thank you, Gaz. Happy Mother's Day to everyone watching, and my old mum may even be watching down in Albany, the bottom of Western Australia, if she is. Happy Mother's Day, Mum. But you're right, these are two very proud clubs, the tradition, the premierships, all the rest of it, but they're going to be sticking their head over it. The conditions again, Gary, conducive to a hard-at-it contest.
Yes, well, there's no room for the faint-hearted, and that's a good thing, I reckon, because really you want to find out what your players are made of, and when you're down the bottom ends of the ladder, then you want to get yourself up and about. Let's head down to the man that's been soaked the last couple of weeks, and haven't we enjoyed that? Chris Jones on the boundary.
Thank you very much, Gary. I just went for a walk on the ground. It is wet. It's the third week in a row the lights have been on. Now, you mentioned those three changes. McVeigh's got back spasms. The other two guys, Fletcher and Rioli, with a knee. Now, Paddy Ryder was the third emergency who was meant to come into the side. He's been throwing up in the room, so only an hour ago, Courtney Dempsey found out that he was going to play his first game. We are going to get rain this afternoon.
Good on you. Thanks, Jonesy. Courtney Dempsey, young man making his debut. Only a slight lad, tips the scales at about 69 kilos, they tell us.
Boy from Queensland, Gary, and he's a midfielder with great pace.
Oh, it's on, Brian.
This is
what we like
Look
to
at
see.
this. This is down in the Bombers' defence.
Free kick.
And there are spot fires breaking out everywhere. It looked almost predetermined, that, didn't it?
Brendan Favola in amongst it.
Kick out of the centre, going to go to Hill. So the Bombers pump it long to get the thing started. One-hand attempt from Laycock. Brought to the ground, and Simpson's going to bring it out. Hurd started deep, good hands from Betts. The Blues with some early composure. Over the top to Fisher in the long sleeves. Steers it into the corridor. Kennedy's got it. Fisher's going to get it back, or maybe Cooter. In the end, Fisher took a very good mark.
It's good effort. Reynolds, a young man, has gone to Favola. That's where the Blues started.
Into the centre now. Waite at the back needs to go with more than the one hand. Johnson went without it. Favola had a bit of a dip at ground level. Lots of Bombers around this footy, and Hefner will bring it away.
Straight down the middle, but Lance has read it brilliantly. This is what he does the best. The big fella for the Blues at centre-half back. Sees White Stevens. Did not have clean hands at ground level. Watson's knock-on, only to the advantage of Bentic. Here's Waite doing some good ground level work. Murphy's third disposal already in the game, and we've only been going a minute. Lovett Murray stripped of the ball by Eddie Betts.
A little bit of feeling, which you'd hope for two teams struggling.
Betts looks wide for Favola. Oh, he had him beaten on the lead, but the kick was behind him, and that makes it very hard for a deep leading forward. Favola was desperate, kept the ball in play. Did that travel 15? Not so sure.
Play on called.
Just the end on end from Bradley. Pumps it out in the Lovett direction. Bentic again very hard at it. Coming in for the Blues was Murphy. Simpson in support. Trying to get around Lovett. Does very nicely. And now the low one is good to Fisher. Dropped what he perhaps should have taken, although we've got to remember the ball's wet. Jobe Watson goes to ground. Wiggins belts in. Stevens over the top. Chance here for Koutoufides. Just couldn't get there. And the Bombers. Lots of numbers now. And again, the running torque from Johnson gets it out of the area.
Hurt playing at half forward. Got the numbers. The Bombers clean hands needed. He's a left footer, Lucas. Into goal. Missed. He had a lot of time. And he had support in the way of the run from Hill.
Big Lance is just breathing the biggest sigh of relief. This was the Blue that started before the bounce. Looks like Cooter was involved with Lovett Murray. Reynolds the man with Favola, boys. I like that matchup if you're a Blue supporter.
Stevens out of side. Long and beautiful ball to Fisher. Fisher to dump it in the Favola direction. Waite's there as well, and he slides in. I think the kick was going further than Waite initially, but it dropped in the air, and he was Johnny on the spot. So from 35-40 out, Gaz, you can have a crack at the Blues first.
Should kick the goal. They're capable today, the Blues. That forward line at the moment looks to me capable of kicking a score that could put them in a winning position.
This is a talented man. Jared Waite, kick on the way. Oh, have a look at it. It's just drifting. A point apiece.
7 marks to none at the moment in favour of the Blues.
A drizzly day here at the MCG. Very, very light rain. There's been no showers of any great purpose, but just light drizzle in the hour preceding the game here today. Welsh, who's been out of touch for the Bombers. They need a few of these out of touch players starting to win a bit of quality ball. The kick's not good. And Thornton now to Bentic. Clean hands at ground level were impressive. Kick sideways. Up they fly. Kennedy couldn't hold the ball. Simpson's got an opportunity here. Been involved a couple of times already. And this will be a Murphy mark or a free kick, surely.
Free kick, and they're loose. The Bombers are loose. They're getting caught back on the rebound, and loose Carlton players everywhere. Here's another one.
Murphy in his 7th senior game to Stevens, and Stevens had it covered. So did Favola, had his man beaten on the lead as well. Stevens will line up.
Sorry, Brozza. Just a lot of Essendon players looking around at the moment, turning heads, pointing fingers, and not exactly sure who they're supposed to be picking up. I know some of the turnovers don't help you, but gee, a lot of Carlton boys free.
Body language on some of them at the moment is not impressive. As Stevens comes in, that is good. That is impressive. First goal of the game goes to the Blues.
Been a big week for Nick Stevens, and some suggesting he just needs to do a bit more as one of the big, well, high-profile players, experienced players. He gets a lot of the footy. Maybe if he dropped off 10 possessions but was able to add a couple of goals, then it would be better for the Carlton's cause. That is a beautiful finish. And they've just got to settle here, the Bombers. They've got to find a man and just settle.
First blood to the Blues through Nick Stevens. Excellent set shot exponent, and that was a very nice example of it. So, nice start by the Carlton Footy Club. Hill, clean possession. Not sure that he disposed of it properly, and when you're in the tackle, that's holding the ball. Jobe Watson gets it back. And Bentic, the sideways handball, got it to Murphy. Murphy, good hands for Favola, and a little elbow just to get rid of his man.
He's playing about centre-half forward. I just wonder against Reynolds whether he'd be better served in the goal square.
Goes for the big barrel, Fev. The big torp. Good luck marking that. They're going to have a dip at it now. And Fisher, 4th man in, takes a terrific contested mark.
Might need him in the goal square if these boys are able to do this. He's got some ability too, this man, Brad Fisher. Now, Lovett Murray's opponent, I reckon what happens in big pack situations like that, Brian, they don't punch as aggressively because I think someone else is going to do it for them.
Got 4 sets of hands in there.
4th mark already. Blues have only, Bombers have only taken 2 as a team. From close range, Fisher gets Carlton's 2nd.
James Hird at the moment, boys, he's playing, he was playing deep forward. Andrew Walker got the big job on him. Expect to see him push into the centre square now because the Bombers have just had no presence around the footy whatsoever. This is a big contested mark of the highest order. And, well, you'd have to love the way they've started, the Blues.
I tell you what, Gary, I think the rain is getting heavier and it's going to make conditions much more difficult. The Blues with the first 2 goals, and the rain starts to tumble Chris Jones at ground level as it's getting heavier.
So heavy he can't talk.
It is. He's looking for the umbrella. That's why he's not worried about it. He's scurrying for the umbrella as everyone at the MCG is at the moment. Chris, you there?
Guys, it's raining very, very heavily down here now.
That's all we needed, Jonesy.
Thank you, Chris. Just confirmation of what was very, very obvious, I would have thought. But Jason Johnson tries to crash through. And that is, I think, Chris Jones not happy about where he's at down there at the moment.
That's why he's one of the best on the boundary. He just doesn't go looking for anything that's not there. He just said it's raining heavily, Brian.
3 weeks in a row down there, Chris Jones, in the rain. And that's what you got to do as an apprentice. Hill, Jason Johnson, Hurd's in there as well. Overran at Johnson, Betts, the excitement machine. Wait, what can he do? Pursued by Heffernan. Soccer was clever. Wiggins went without it. Now Wait needed clean hands there, and he was away. Just couldn't do it with the greasy ball. Tough conditions here to execute the perfect skills. Lovett takes them all on.
Bit of a change now. McPhee's gone over to Fisher. Lovett Murray's been relieved of those duties. Reynolds on Favola. Heffernan's gone with Waite. Young Kennedy's got Kepler Bradley as his opponent.
Hill and Koutafidis down to Bolton. Around the body. Sliding mark taken by Thornton. Big Lance charging into the forward 50. The handball off to Simpson. And now it goes in the Whitnell direction. I think Fev was in the area as well, but big Lance, after just a steam train run from centre half back, has taken the grab.
You just call the game, Jim. I'll do the moves. Thank you. No, he just wandered down with the flight of the ball. A lot of big flutter happening. So all the Essendon forwards, because they're being dominated, have just started to push down to try and squeeze things up. And Lance, as we know, just sees it unfolding earlier than most.
65% from this spot. This to make it 3 in a row for Carlton. It's working its way back. Not enough. And a behind.
Scott Lucas, Lance Whitnell's opponent. Lucas playing centre half forward.
Lovett Murray brings the ball back into play. A brand new pill, so this one will be dry for a few moments anyway. But look at this, Carlton all attack at the moment. Scotland just keeps it moving forwards. It is a game of metres in these conditions. They look like they're going to get worse before they get better. Houlihan, Bentic. Houlihan again. Hasn't had an influence so far. Bolton took his time, eventually got it only as far as Dyson. Ball was pinned to him. And the new balls are a factor, Gary. They have a bag of balls behind each goal. I think there are about 10 balls used in each game, and not often you get a big, wet, heavy ball these days.
No, and the Blues have had their own ball by the looks of that. 71% of possession time. That is unheard of.
Picked up in the end by Stanton. Lucas attacks. He's at half back now, and there's the other half forward in Hurd. So if they do win possession, what are they going to do with it?
Well, they kick it straight down the throat of Thornton and Lance Whitnell, who are sitting back on their own at the moment. Laycock pushes up now. Saddington, his opponent, but just dominated by the Blues. Inside 50s, 8 to Carlton, 2 to the Bombers.
Ball thrown up, understandably. Houlihan and Hurd. Koutafidis and Johnson. Kouta's been on the angry pills on Mother's Day. Not banging into everyone.
Not a bad thing either, I reckon. He couldn't be happy with the way his side just folded after half-time. Been in the news this week. He'd want a reaction.
Over the top, Waite. The back of the fist to Hurd. High tumbling ball. Monfries sits under it. Stevens. And the line.
Want to see how Essendon respond now, because they've not given a whimper in this first 10 minutes or so. The Blues have just been on the front foot, been a bit aggressive. Let's see how the Bombers react.
1981, you've got to go back to find a worse start to the season for the Bombers. That's hit Hill on the head. Goes and gets it. Betts strips him of the footy.
I think that was Sheedy's first year, was it not?
Sliding in Bentic, and he's claimed again. We're going to see a fair bit of this while the conditions stay as they are at the moment.
That year he actually threatened as a 33-year-old, I think, to pull the boots on himself and resume his career after he'd initially retired and taken on the coaching job.
Only playing coach we've seen in football since Brian Taylor at Paran, Gary.
Oh, my Lord.
Hill just slides in and tries to get it to Koutafidis.
Great example, I was.
Hill inboard. They just can't get any clean football at the moment, the Bombers. Waite sort of didn't want to possess it, I don't reckon. Hurd slammed into by 4 or 5, and again the umpire wants it.
Being led to the footy, that's one of the reasons. The bench for the Blues, Lappin starts there, a bit surprising. McGrath, DeLuca and Carazzo, so 3 smalls and a tall, and a day like this is a pretty good balance.
I reckon the Carlton body language looks really good at the moment. Not so the Bombers. A lot of numbers here for the Blues. Scotland, Bentic just kicking it forward, and that's what we'll see a lot of here today. Got nudged under the ball. Fisher, it was legal. Hurd now tidies up. Handball to Lovett. Murray, here's Murphy. Oh, he took it one hand. Would have been nice to have 2 on it in the wet, wouldn't it? As Jason Johnson scraps and waits for the troops to arrive. Then Lovett Murray says, let's just get it out of this area. And let's go down to Chris Jones.
James Hurd signalled to the bench straight away, and he's just pulled himself off. Walker's coming over. I reckon he might have hurt his upper leg.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. That is not good news, given the way the Bombers have started this game. Young Murphy started well, had a chance to kick a goal. Just got to go the 2 Dukes, Brian.
Absolutely.
I don't know whether that wasn't a hamstring grab from James Hurd, as Joe Watson's got it on the outer side. Long handball to Stanton. Now some room for the Bombers. Long ball forward, Lucas behind. Almost a very clever mark. Whitnell picks it up and steers it nicely. Drop mark from Bentic. Back in Winderlick. Gets the handball away. Betts has been very effective in this game so far. Slides it over the top in the Thornton direction. Waite was there as well. Thornton, good handball. Waite's hand's not as good, and it's over the line. Let's go down to Jonesy.
He looks pretty distressed, James Hurd. He went to walk straight down the race, but he stayed out there. He's speaking with Doc Reed at the moment.
Oh, he's done his hamstring for sure.
It's a hamstring grab, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, given that Fletcher's out, and as well as Rioli and McVeigh, this is an opportunity for Carlton that they have just got to make the most of.
And not only that, the disappointment on his face, on his teammate's face on the bench, and he grabbed his right hamstring.
Yep.
That is going to be 4 weeks for James Hird.
Damien Peveril just, I think his actions told as much as anything, didn't it?
It did indeed. Hill, the acting skipper out there at the moment, in the absence of Matthew Lloyd, saw him down in the rooms before today's game. There's the big fella with the ruck responsibilities today, McLaren and Scotland combining. Free kick, whistle blown. It'll be a Blues ball at half back. There was no advantage.
Beautifully positioned this game now to find out what sort of character these clubs have got, because the Blues have been challenged. They seem to be responding, and if they've got the killer instinct, then they'll stand on the throat of Essendon. And now the Bombers without their spiritual leader. No McVeigh, no Fletcher. Let's see what they're made of. See what their kids are like. No Lloyd.
But Gaz, you can't say that injury doesn't kill you. Look at Collingwood last year. They finished 15th. They were without 5 of their best 6 players.
That does.
Now they're full of those players and they're flying.
Not even about the result, Jim. It's about the way you go about it. They need to show some spirit, Essendon.
Winderlick almost. Walker on hands and knees.
They're not playing the West Coast Eagles here.
True.
They're not playing the Adelaide Crows. They are playing a club who emotionally are about the same pitch. So let's just see who's got the bigger ticker.
Jobe Watson stripped of it. Johnson picked it up inside the forward 50 again. Whitnell in front. She's a good player back there. He's a good player everywhere, but at centre half back, he's just got the game ahead of him and he does a brilliant job. Simpson, good pickup. Will go inboard. Good target in Saddington on the wing. Looks up, goes to Koutafidis, and why not? One out. Only ground level player there was Lovett Murray for the Bombers, and they'll end up through Bolton getting it out of there.
They do indeed. Stanton has got it. This is one of the young guns for the Bombers, and one that their future depends largely on. One of their very best young midfielders in the making. Lucas is going to be 1 on 3 all day, you get the feeling now. There are a few other options to goal. Jason Johnson, Lucas, round the body, McPhee sneaking down. Blues with the numbers. Saddington tidying it up, getting better week by week. Jason Saddington, as Whitnell just sees something out of his corner of his eye, and that is a Josh Kennedy lead.
Got a good. He's a good size, this young boy, isn't he? Josh Kennedy debuted last week.
195 centimetres, Gary. He looks very, very neatly packaged. The kick to Favola. Unlike you, Gary, I'd like to see him deep. Has a number of players down there at the moment. Houlihan soccer off the ground, and that'll be a locked-in ball. Carlton forward 50.
Courtney Dempsey, a young man that there's James Hird back on the interchange bench, just reiterating the news. We think he's done a hamstring. This is Courtney Dempsey, the young boy, late call-up. Only an hour or so ago got the news.
Would he have had his bag here today?
He must have.
Fisher hacks it out of there, and it's across the face of goal. And Stanton can pick it up and have a bounce, and you can continue conversing, boys.
Not sure Dempsey would have had his bag here today. He wasn't even an emergency, Gary. I reckon they've probably lent him some gear out of the property room.
All right.
Let's face it.
There he is. He's going to get it right now.
Dyson. Dempsey, first touch in league footy. Can he make it a goal? Inside the 50. Kick a goal, young man. No, he's run too far. It was a behind anyway.
No sense of occasion, that umpire. Who is he?
Martin Ellis.
Martin Ellis, right call. He's got some leg speed, I tell you. He's got some toe, the young man.
He might have been just holding onto the gear bag and tagging on the team bus just so he could get into the game, Brian. That's been done before.
Well, don't look like his shorts. Ball over the line, out of bounds.
Well, that's what it's about now for the Bombers, is blooding these youngsters.
All right, well, that's what we're going to see today. Youngsters like this man here, Courtney Dempsey, in his first game, and we're going to find out where they're at, the Bombers, in terms of their absolute depth. Kevin Sheedy.
Blood rule, I think it must be. Joe Watson.
Kevin Sheedy, by the way, has to coach to season 2011 if he wants to surpass Jock McHale's all-time coaching record. Gary, you reckon he can do that?
No.
5 more years?
No, I don't think he will. He probably could if I don't think he'll want to. I think he'll become one of the AFL ambassadors of everything.
The Australian coach, Gary.
Yes, and just the goodwill ambassador.
The 26th season this man has been operating down there at Bomberland since leaving the Tigers as a star player.
How long was Jock McHale at Collingwood? Because they didn't play as many games in those days, Brian. He must have been there for 50 years.
He must have been there a hell of a long time. Interesting that both of those coaches only coached the one club. All of those others surrounding the game's record. Yep, 50 metres. Too high, said umpire Ellis against Thornton.
Well, so maybe some treatment after the mark was taken. I think let's have a look at that. Oh, it was just... Oh,
there it is, that one there.
Yeah, the second one. Okay, fair enough. No, they need the goal, the Bombers. Gee whiz, they haven't looked like scoring.
Yeah, just rubbing the nose into the dirt was the breaking point for the umpire. Monfries comes in, and the Bombers get their first goal.
Just didn't need that. Brett Thornton, who started this game pretty well, just didn't need that last little shove. It's a very nice kick from Welsh, must be said, but he was outside scoring range. So we think that this bit of action's okay. That wasn't what the 50 was for. It was more that, which there wasn't a hell of a lot in it either. But given that umpires have loved to get themselves involved, that's the 50 metre there. Funny game.
50-metre penalty helping Monfries kick the Bombers first. You still trail the Blues, who have had the better of the start of this game. Ball being bounced, so the centre must be nice and dry. Peveril comes off the line. Not a lot of awareness there, just ran straight into a double Blues tackle. And the umpire wants it. 38 seasons, Brian, Jock McHale was at Collingwood.
Wow.
That is a long time. And you reckon you'd have your own car park at the end of all of that? Eddie Betts stripped to the footy. Johnson. And then Dyson, Welsh, and now Peveril. Here's Dempsey. Ball didn't sit for him.
To think you got your own car park after just 1 year at 9.
Very nicely positioned too, next to Burt, as almost Waite went without it. Big hit there on Bentic, who's a hard unit, and so is Solomon.
Just come on, he has Dean Solomon, given her a reprieve today because of those late withdrawals. I'm a fan of his. I'd like to see him around the footy in some shorter bursts. I reckon that's where he'll play his best footy.
For the top 5 players with disposal so far in this game, all belonging to the Blues. Here's Lovett Murray, ground level. There's the big fella in Josh Kennedy. Welsh, off half-back. That's where he's played his best football for the Bombers. Lucas did well to outmaneuver Whitnell, drive it long to a one-on-one contest. In the air, couldn't win it there. Now it's Saddington at ground level. Soccer off the ground. Scotland has a quick look around to see what's behind and says he can go forward. Now Simpson at half-back for the Blues. And he had the 3 goals collectively kicked so far in this game, and conditions just starting to ease a little bit, and perhaps a little bit more light can be seen now, and some clearer conditions coming. Solomon, that's positive. Front and centre though was Saddington, driving ball for Vola. Here he is with Reynolds, and Gary, that's why you like the matchup.
Well, I really like it, and I reckon he's in pretty good nick, Brendan Favola, and I'd be playing him one out in the goal square and directing as much footy as I could to him.
Now let's have a look at him. From this distance he's normally absolutely on the money, but his run-up is increased in its length, and I reckon his momentum as he comes in on the run-up, Gary's almost at a walk. I think he needs to pick it up.
That's right. We had a good look at him last week, and he has got this lengthy approach, but really 3 or 4 metres out he starts to get into a bit of a jog, and just a bit quicker, we think, Brian.
And a little bit more momentum and flow to give him that rhythm and punch as he comes in to take those final few steps. He's still got that one, but offline to the right-hand side. His body just getting a little close to the ball there as well.
Got a 19-kilogram weight advantage on Joel Reynolds, has Big Fev, so that is why you'd be directing a lot of traffic through him.
He reckons he's about 10 kilos lighter coming into this season than the previous couple, Fev.
He's had a haircut.
Had a haircut, that's dropped a few off. And not drinking either, he reckons, and that helps. Fisher around the body. Waite in good position, but just couldn't take the mark. Good hard work from Lappin. Now the Bombers, Welsh can get it out of there. Just kicks it up for grabs though. Very committed, the Blues in the air. Favola comes in hard on the Shepherd. Monfries is taken in the Koutafidis tackle over the line.
Yeah, some good spirit shown. The Bombers leading the clearances here, but just haven't been able to take any sort of advantage of it.
Laycock down. Winderlick's hands were good. Welsh another possession to Lucas and Whitnell. Look at Big Lance. Just a general back there, Gary. Got the game in. in hand at centre-half back.
Well, Scott Lucas is now, he's got the challenge. He can't let Lance Whitnell dominate to the extent that he is at the moment. He's got to dig in.
Houlihan long. DeLuca almost gloved it. Mark Johnson. Winderling. Thumping handball to Stanton. Now it opens up for the Bombers. Stanton in the Hill direction. He got hands to it. Saddington did well to break it up. Monfries takes it over the line.
And it's good. Hill's gone forward, resting off the ruck. He goes forward. Saddington has to go to the two ruckmen at the moment. So that is an area that perhaps the Bombers are able to exploit.
Let's have a look at this ruck contest. The feeling that Koutoufides might be going to take this knock as Dempsey has a spell on his debut. Over the back Hill. Beautiful palm down, wasn't it?
Beautiful.
Bolton didn't get a clean run at it. McVeigh, now Dyson. This would be a nicely timed one, but it's not.
Ooh, Brian beautifully picked up. Not sure they can allow David Hill to ruck against Anthony Koutoufides so close to goal. Just too dangerous.
Back into play here for the Blues, and Thornton, their experienced campaigner, along with Lance Whitnell in defence. And Whitnell, just watching him, he's a mile off the ball there, and he's just directing play, telling the guys basically where to go, and often it's not in the direction where he's placed. So very good leadership from Lance as Scotland at ground level on the half-back line sees not much on, and he's forced to run with the ball and carry it. Good decision in the end. Waited for something to happen. Lappin from behind. The defensive punch was impressive. Gee, Lovett didn't go. Allowed Scotland in front. Not sure why. Kudo with lovely hands.
Beautiful hands from the champ. Got it off to Walker. He goes long in the Whitnell direction, and that's chopped out by Lucas.
That's better from Scott Lucas. He's just got to assert some forward line mentality onto Lance and not let him play on his own terms.
Peveril. Suns beating down on the G now. Across to Welsh. Look at McPhee sneak forward. Keep going, young man. Does so now and drills it right down the throat of Angus Monfries.
Oh, that was a great chase by Favola, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a super chase, but also a super effort from McPhee. Just zoned off. There's Lance. I think he thought he had it covered. Didn't realise that Lucas was coming, so didn't sort of push at the ball. But that's beautiful delivery. And Monfries, he's a good young player, a goal kicker.
This to drag the Bombers back to within a point. And that would be a great result for Essendon. Set shot. Oh, it's left. It's a long way left.
Yes, it was, but they have steadied a bit. Their last 10 minutes has been a lot better. Essendon started to win a bit of footy.
They have. They've had some good possession time in that last 10 minutes when the Blues dominated the first 10. There's Stevens. DeLuca's the intended target. Lovely hands for the big fella at ground level. Murphy was really good early in this quarter. Kicked with a bit of hope in mind there as McPhee had no other intentions. Umpire said he could do nothing about it. Fans aren't happy. And we love hearing the fans get stuck into it here. The MCG, the home of football. Lovely surface presented today. Jason Johnson. Searching ball, Dyson. Ricky Dyson on that beautiful fluent left foot. Simpson, did he infringe? Umpire said no. Lappin now. And Stanton just corralling him to the boundary. So an opening quarter that hasn't yielded a lot of goals, but nevertheless one that is tight and kept these two sides close together. James Hird, just on the bench there, repeating earlier, appeared to do a hamstring.
Whitnell works it down in front of Solomon. He's claimed by a couple of Blues. Lappin went hard at it. Monfries has kicked the Bombers' only goal. Dyson off the ground. Back towards Jason Johnson. Carrazzo involved as well, and the umpire, you'd imagine, inside the last minute, will ball it up.
Yeah, that's David Hill down there. He was with Saddington in the goal square. That's an area that the Bombers had looked to try and exploit as well. And this is a dangerous area. Hill against Whitnell.
Downhill very well to Peveril. Chance here for Essendon if they can take a contested mark. Johnson and Saddington. Saddington got badly lost. Johnson focused hard on the ball, and I think he's either been paid the mark or a free kick.
Too high, I reckon, Jim. Free kick, great courage. Saddington came at it strongly as well. Not sure what the free kick was for.
Well, he's taken the mark, isn't he? Is that what he's been paid for? No,
maybe
okay.
Only the contact from, was it Simpson? Maybe that's what it was, or maybe it was just given for effort.
Well, Mark Johnson can level the scores going into quarter time. And after the first 15 minutes of that game, you wouldn't have thought that was possible from an Essendon perspective. Set shot. Should convert, and he does. Bombers get their second.
Well, we asked the question when James Hird went to the interchange bench with that hamstring, what the Essendon mob were made of, and they've answered reasonably well. Again, that's a worry. That big ruck contest in the forward line with David Hill against anyone other than an opposing ruckman. Now, on the official stats, it's been paid as a contested mark, but not sure that's right. But anyway, it's a goal, and we're all tied up, and they've shown a fair bit, the Bombers, in the last 10 to 12 minutes.
Scores a level late in the first quarter with just the 25 seconds remaining. The Bombers kicking the last two of the quarter. Laycock, Betts roving at best. Scotland will be run down from behind. The peripheral vision wasn't good. And no advantage for the Bombers, but they'll get the free kick with 15 left, and they'll drive it inside 50 and have an opportunity to score. There's a couple of coaches for the Bombers, Gary Ayres and Kevin Sheedy. Paul Dimartina, the runner.
Yeah, he is.
Former Bulldog. And the kick inside 50, not what the Bombers had hoped in the dying seconds of this one. And Thornton will go wide, and that'll just about see the quarter out. It will indeed. So the Blues kicked the first two goals through Stevens and Fisher and dominated the first 15 minutes. The big news, though, is this man here, James Hird, appears to be out of the game, and maybe for a month or so with that hamstring injury. At quarter time, scores a level here at the MCG on Mother's Day.
Welcome back to the MCG Mother's Day clash between Carlton and Essendon. The Blues jumped out of the blocks, got to a lead early. The Bombers lost the champion, James Hird, with a hamstring injury. Then they responded, and as a result, we're all tied up. 2 goals, 3 apiece. Stevens and Fisher for the Blues, Mumfries and Johnson for the Bombers. Brian, something caught your eye just down on the boundary prior to that quarter-time siren?
Just to the end of that quarter, you see Kevin Sheedy having a chat with Lovett and saying, now listen, don't sit down there, I want you to come over here and talk to me. And that's a sign of a great coach, that he may have had some harsh words to say and didn't want to say it in front of the rest of the players, not even James Hird sitting there. He said, no, just come over with me. Lovett's not happy about it. It was just very interestingly coached by Kevin Sheedy.
Continuing education for young Andrew Lovett, that's for sure. An Anzac Day medalist, but the learning curve continues. Let's head down to Chris Jones, and he'll update us with the latest on James Hird. Jonesy.
Well, it's pretty obvious, Gary, it is that right hamstring. And James Hird turned assistant coach. You just saw Sheed speaking to Lovett then. James Hird's just spent about 3 or 4 minutes speaking with him. But here it goes. The right hamstring, it seems so simple. He signalled straight to the bench, came off. He sat the second half of that quarter with ice on his hamstring and then walked out there. He's got the tracksuit pants on now, and his day is over.
Yeah, his day is done. The Essendon superstar, one of the all-time greats of the game.
Tell you what, Lovett has copped an absolute spray from Sheedy or someone in the coach's books, because he has been consoled like I've never seen any other player for something that wasn't obvious.
Well, we've certainly missed it, but he's might have been given the rounds of the table, Jim, because he's not looking too enamoured with the whole thing at the moment, young Andrew Lovett.
He isn't. I've just copped a spray from Kenny, one of the very nice staff here, telling me that when Jock McHale started at Collingwood, they didn't even have cars, Brian. Apologies to Kenny and the Collingwood faithful. Second half, second quarter, I should say, underway, and it is all tied up at the MCG. And the good news is that the weather looks like it's starting to clear up. We're going to see some open football as the Blues. Scotland goes to ground. Dyson picks it up for the Bombers. Inside the 50 they go again. Whitnell leads Lucas to the ball. This time he can't complete the mark. Gets the handball to a dangerous place. But the Blues in number back here. And Wiggins to Thornton. He'll get it back. Nothing at that side of the ground. Oh, he's found a target in DeLuca. And Saddington's with him.
The glove DeLuca off to Saddington. at half-back. He'll have to go short. There was absolutely nothing in the long option, and that's why the Blues are just setting up the triangle handball there, and Lance eventually says, well, I'll just kick the top and hope that someone gets on the end of it.
Now, they've lined up in a long line. They've got Waite, Fisher, Favola and Koutafidis. One of those four, probably Fisher, I think it was, should have been the target pushing up out to the wing, Brian. No one presented.
Heffernan short and finds Stanton. Brent Stanton in his 41st game for the Bombers. Early in this second quarter finds Heffernan, who originally gave the ball to Stanton. So the Bombers just chipping forward. Solomon got loose inside 50 and's taken the mark.
Again, we speak about these numbers back for sides when they get big numbers, and there was probably a dozen Carlton players. There's David Kelthorpe, the runner. They all look at each other, but no one takes hard responsibility for a man because they think they're zoning space. They look at the spare player, in this case Solomon, and the other bloke looks at Solomon and says, oh, well, he'll go to him. That's the worry. No one takes direct responsibility. 6 games this year for Dean Solomon. No games. 60% accuracy from this particular position in his career. Kick is on the way. It's from right on 50. Has it got the legs? Its accuracy was pretty good, but the thump away from the pack. Sure, it hit the behind post and will have a boundary throw in deep. So that's better than a clearance kick for the Blues. Keep it locked in their forward line, the Bombers.
Thrown in. DeLuca and Hill. Down to Scotland, who bangs it out of there. Koutafidis, I thought he was being held. He was. And the champion Blue will take it at half-back. Much brighter, the weather now, which makes everyone happier at the footy. Not only the fans who sit without getting rained on, but they see the ball just start to travel a little more cleanly around the place. Eddie Betts goes to Fisher. McPhee gets rid of him far too easily and takes the mark comfortably at half-back. Into Stanton and out the other side, as we see so often with footy now. Picked up by Reynolds. Long ball forward, but no one home. The Blues compete with each other. What was Thornton on about? DeLuca was going to take an uncontested mark. Picked up by Hill, and he inches it to Solomon, and Solomon can really make it pay. But the kick was ordinary. Broken up by Lance Whitnell. Not the most classical passage of play you'll ever see.
Now we think this is the reason Andrew Lovett was taken off the ground and spoken to by several Essendon coaches and officials, that he just refused to chase his player out of that situation.
Not urgent enough, not enough pressure. Came off straight after that passage of play.
I've got to say that's indicative of the body language of the Bombers as a total at the moment, I believe, and we said that right within the first couple of minutes of the game starting. Whitnell. Now Walker. What a lot of responsibility on this man's shoulders working forward for the Blues. Walker as Lappin receives. Now what have they got down forward? Here is an opportunity. It's Wiggins. Puts the foot on the gas and sends it home, but offline. And a minor score.
Well, they should be encouraged to run, the Blues, because when they do, I'm not sure that the Bombers, as we saw with young Lovett, working that hard defensively. So you run when you know you're going to get it.
Stanton. Lovett, Murray. Now Jobe Watson. A couple of bounces. That one doesn't sit for him. He's got to really sit and wait. And Eddie Betts runs him down, and that's holding the ball.
Now that is an example of the urgency we're speaking about. Just loping along. No voice, obviously. That's the other thing.
Houlihan to Fisher. Koutafidis works at the feet of Fisher. Jason Johnson involved now, and the umpire will ball it up at centre-half forward.
Having said that, Eddie Betts, we should pay great tribute. Have a look at this now. A lot of the fault of this is targets up the field, but that didn't help Jobe Watson. Neither did that looking up without the footy, and got his right whack in the end. Great chase.
Stacks on again. And there will be another ball up.
Favola in that goal square with Reynolds at the moment. So quick kick out here.
Look, they may still win, the Bombers, Gary, but I've never seen them look so lethargic in their attitude towards a must-win game. McPhee dropped the mark, wasn't paid, said the umpire. No, it was.
That's bad positioning from Fisher to allow McPhee to zone off in front of both Favola and Reynolds like that.
Peverell thought about it, and then once it was already in flight, he decided, no, that's not the right thing to do. Here's Reynolds, Favola's opponent.
Betts has done it again.
He did the same, and Betts applying lots of pressure out there. Great signs for him. Scotland with a crunching Solomon tackle, and you get the look at Solomon that he's got something to prove. He's trying to get aggressive out there. Heffernan, here is Solomon. He's had about 4 touches in the last 4 minutes. Peveril, clean hands needed. Probably could have gone the handball to Dyson again. And let's go down ground level to Chris Jones.
Yeah, just final confirmation on James Hird. We've spoken to Dr. Reid, the Essendon doctor. His day is over. It is that right hamstring.
Okay, so with the history that James Hird has with hamstrings, that is a 4-week injury for him, and maybe even add a week for age, if you like, as well. Houlihan gets the ball wide. Here's Dyson showing some nice skill. He's a left footer. Takes it inside 50. Couple of bounces. This is a great run from a young man, and a very nice finish from Ricky Dyson.
Well, for all the apparent lethargy from the Bombers, they lead, which is quite amazing in lots of ways. Some missed opportunities along the way from the Blues, but I get the feeling, Jim, that Ricky Dyson might be one of Brian's boys.
Oh, yeah.
I think he might be one of yours, is he?
It's like the way he moves, Gary. He's just no mistakes in the footwork.
Just going to have a look to see where he comes from. If he's down the Romsey area, I don't know.
The Bombers hit the front by 5 points. Second quarter action from the MCG. DeLuca down to Bentic. Might have been taken high. I think he was. Advantage should be paid to Scotland. McGrath leads Lovett Murray to the ball. 3 forwards here for the Blues. They're all ignored.
No room there.
Murphy's got it. I'm speaking, of course, of Fev and Cooter and Waite. Fisher there as well. So lots of forwards.
They haven't been able to exploit that mismatch at all because there's just too much traffic, Brian.
They're all just running into each other's space. The 3 talls we're talking about, not the smalls, but the talls.
Murphy, good young player. Look at this. That is clinical stuff from Mark Murphy.
Started the game well, Mark Murphy. Started the game well. Got a lot of touches early in the piece. Made 1 or 2 blues, but good young player, you called it, and good players kicked those goals. A little bit happening down in the goal square. McPhee, Favola, Reynolds, they're all just Mark Johnson.
Dean Solomon tends to find that action, Brian, when there's some of it on the ground. He likes to get around it.
I think he's creative with that sort of stuff.
He likes it.
Yep,
Common denominator in a lot of those things. You're exactly right. So is that man.
All right, well, the Blues are back in front by a point now. So things just starting to rev up a bit here at the G in this second quarter as the weather looks brighter. DeLuca. Still not sure about the glove. Heffernan. Driving ball, Lucas. Now he's got Whitnell under the ball. Couldn't get it done at the back. Simpson. Plenty of support here for the Bombers. Can Johnson work it out? No. Umpire will ball it up. The punt road end of the MCG. Crowd today probably about, I don't know, 35 to 40,000.
Always down a bit on Mother's Day, Bryza, because people take their mums out for dinner, lunch rather.
It is, Gary. Always come after the footy, I guess, given the fact it starts at 2:30. Welsh.
Have a longish lunch on Mother's Day.
Johnson missed the target. Here's Eddie. Look at the clean hands now to Houlihan. The driving bullet ball. Cooter, time to recover. Had to give some ground back to Walker. Bentic. The lead is offered and ignored. The handball to Fisher. Sends a long ball down. Lovett Murray. A hand over the top and boundary line, Gary.
Shouldn't that be when you just drive it into the big man Favola in the square against the skinny little fella Reynolds? He was up and around the 50-metre zone. They had no big tall target to go to.
We saw it with Rocker and Thornton last week. Rocker eventually worked out in the second half. Get this man back to the square one out and don't lead.
Yep.
Hill gets his own ball. Houlihan falls over, as does McGrath and Peveril. Bentic might have copped a little knee in the solar plexus. Not going to matter.
Do players have the authority, Gary, to say, look, I think I've got a match up here that can work in the goal square. Please clear the space, no matter who it is.
You certainly should, Brian. I'm not sure what... He started up the ground a lot, Brendan, but he's now getting a bit of traffic time to keep out, which is good to see. He should be demanding space for himself.
Mark Johnson. Low bullet was nice to Dyson. Gary certainly had that authority, Brian, at Melbourne. Just got everyone out of anywhere near him. Joe Watson to centre half forward. That kick's not quite going to reach. Fisher, I think, spilled the mark in the end. I think he might have sucked it in, but he's wounded a free kick somehow or another. High contact.
He needed that space to wind up the big arc.
Just Earl Spalding and Alan Jakovic. These poor blokes couldn't get near it, Brian. Had to have a Sharon drawn for them during the week as Saddington's kick's good. Got it into Walker's midriff. He's going to just pump it long now. Fev, look at him. Wow. The juke's extended, Brian. Even on a wet day, he clops him.
Well, you know what? He started in the goal square, Brian, with his opponent. We don't want to sound like smart Alex. Wanted it long and then had the option of either contesting one out in the square or the kick from Walker just floated forward and he led Reynolds to the ball.
Yep.
Missed one from the set shot in the first term. 67% he's working at from this spot. Should kick this, Brendan Favola. Deliberate as always. That looks good. It's there.
Always try and think what would be going through Kevin Sheedy's and his coaching staff's mind when they realise that Dustin Fletcher's a late withdrawal. Straight away they say, all right, Favola becomes a problem and an issue for us. We're going to take a risk and play Reynolds on him. Gee, we hope he pushes up the ground or something and doesn't quite expose what could be a mismatch. And that's the only thing that we're talking about here. That is a massive strength, I reckon, for Carlton, and they've really got to expose it.
So the Blues have kicked the last two, and Favola's got his first, which is a great sign for Carlton. And 6 of the 7 goals today, Gary, reliably informed from our stats, have been kicked from set shots. Unusual in slippery conditions, I guess. Simpson, the Blues are going forward again. They controlled the first 15 minutes of the first quarter, and they're doing the same here in the second quarter. Stevens, it's quite a negative approach. Now the Bombers. Laycock, Dyson, the build-up is good. Monfries had time to look. Hill's got his body in the right spot and takes a nice mark.
Well, that's the other match that we identified in the first quarter is the ruckman that go down to play on Jason Saddington. It's a big ask for the man who is more suited to play on a back flank. So the more that Hill can push down and be an offensive weapon, the better. What has happened is Lucas has played really deep to try and take Whitnell out, and Hill now gets a chance as Lovett comes on. He responds to the spray that he got, we believe.
25 metres out, got a little close to the man on the mark, Hill, and got a little jittery. I think he's nailed it, but only just. So the Bombers have got one back.
Well, they got Jason Laycock, who has only had the one handball for the game and hasn't looked like marking it as a forward. Against an inexperienced ruckman in DeLuca, I'd tend to play Laycock more in the middle of the ground and get Hill forward and just see how much that's going to stretch this Carlton defence. So they'd have to make a decision after 2 or 3 goals from David Hill how they're going to handle that.
Lovett back on the ground, and Essendon through Hill back in this contest. Just 1 point down. Jonesy.
Yeah, you just mentioned Lovett back on the ground as Hill took that mark in the forward line. He was on the boundary line, pumping up his teammates, giving the big round of applause. So I reckon he's switched back on.
DeLuca jumps into Laycock. Hard one ball from Watson. Long inside the forward 50. Lucas and Whitnell. It's been an enthralling duel off the ground. It's going to tumble over the line now for a throw in. It's not quite Van der Haar, Kernahan, Gary, but it's still
Played more between the ears than up in the air where those two played it, I would have thought.
Still good to watch. Two very talented big men play on each other for a long period of time. DeLuca allows the ball to hit the ground, goes back and gets it. Got a little shove, but the kick was effective. Stevens, end on end in the Koutafidis direction. Well done, Reynolds. Got it to McPhee around the body. Laycock couldn't take it. Here's Lovett. Claimed in a tackle, but enough time to get it by hand to Bolton. And now McPhee at half-back will go the little one to Winderlich. Bombers enjoying a good little period here. Winderlich sees Hill. Good kick.
It's a win for them. They just got to get supply. It was a nice kick of the footy, big David Hill. Hasn't he come on as a footy player in a couple of years now, the stand-in captain in the absence of Matthew Lloyd? And an inspired decision. A lot of people said James Hird should have been the stand-in captain. Well, we know now what Hird will be out for about a month, we reckon.
Hill close to the man on the mark, but he's timed the drop punt nicely. I think he's pulled it away to the left. And just the minor score for the Bombers.
Just a new ball there, Gary. Just a theory of mine with so many balls being used in a game. 5 at each end, I think, in the bags. The balls are hard. They're very pointy and they're not kicked in, Gary, before the games. And so a lot of the players have been saying, I know some at Richmond and even some in this game have been saying that just too hard to kick early in the game. They don't get a chance to wear them in. I would like more time to explain this, but the game is going on. I really need to put my reasoning forward in a much stronger environment.
It does need a bit more explaining.
New cherries. Oh, the time will come, Gary, as Eddie just skills personified to Simpson, who took him on. Solomon crashed in. Peveril put his head over the ball. That's better. Look at Dean Solomon. He's like a low loader in there as Lovett Murray comes through. Handball in hope. Murphy been very good in this game so far. Not clean hands from Carrazzo. This time centering ball. Here he is. Favola! Free kick.
Oh,
free kick umpire.
No free kick.
Has to be. Play on.
Well, wait for the spray, and it's starting to unload from Fev.
Watson over the top. This man can play footy. Monfries, although that wasn't his absolute best. He was unloaded by Walker. And the kick, is it downfield or will it come back to Monfries? I think it's downfield, so Hill will end up with a shot on goal.
That's a free kick every single time there. Lovett came back with a flight, no eyes on the footy, contact made. 99 times out of 100 the free kick would be paid.
The Monfries hit, that's not much in that, is it?
No, it's just late. It's soft, but it's late.
So David Hill at the other end of the ground, that from perhaps where the shot should have been taken, can kick another one for the Bombers. It's low.
It's that pointy nut, I think.
Well, here we go. The new ball will be taken out of the bag now, and this is a lot of football's problems, according to Big Ross.
That pointy Sharon didn't get the job done.
You know that balls need to be kicked in. Only need to have 30 or 40 kicks with it just to take the sharpness out of it, the heaviness out of it, and to just get the leather feeling a little softer.
How do we know that this is one that hasn't been used already?
Because they've been in the bag, Gary, and they're only getting to, in a game now with 10 balls, they're only being kicked 10 times each. It's not enough. They need to be having a couple of games. Let their careers go a little longer, the Red Sharon. The Blues in the middle. Here they go once again. Look at this. Saddington went early. McPhee. Umpire saw that one.
Well, Saddington's gone forward now. His match-up with Hill was looking a bit of a worry for the Blues, so he may have pushed forward.
Jason Saddington from 55 metres out. Got it working nicely. This is a great kick.
Yeah. Obviously one of the kicked in nuts, that one, because Jason Saddington had no problem whatsoever making the journey from outside 50. I reckon that is a free kick, but it's also could be a square up for the one that was missed. Good contact here. Beautiful work. Saddington, I'm just seeing, no, he's actually still playing deep in defence. Must have just worked his way forward with general play. And that's a good result for the Blues.
Hasn't been much in this all afternoon. Saddington gives the Blues back the lead. Back in the centre, McLaren, Bentic and Lappin. Now Wiggins with some room to move. Goes in the Fisher direction. Good kick. Favola, one out. Got to get it to him now.
Go.
Still should be going.
Go.
Just too long. Now he's going to go, but the cavalry's arrived. He's 1 on 4 now, Fev. Still might make it work. Kick smothered. Laycock, Johnson, Stanton, and they're away.
Look at the red and black come charging out of defence. Lance standing between them and a goal. Big Red, there he is. Bit of a half, don't argue. Murphy had trouble with the clean hands. Gave Bolton time to come in and tackle. McGrath slung to ground. It's getting a little hot in the kitchen out there at the moment because there's some hard balls to be won.
Good tackling, some good tackling from both sides. I reckon Solomon has set a bit of a standard in that. When he came on, he just gave him a bit of a lift in the physical stakes, and it looks like it's been picked up by a few of the Bombers.
He's had a nice aggressive attitude today, Dean Solomon. Stevens, Scotland chipping in front. Here's Betts, stretching arms. The left foot skill was good, straightened up. McGrath needs a good bounce. Didn't get it. It favoured McPhee. And we'll have a boundary throw in.
36 tackles, the Blues, 24 for the Bombers. So still in favour of Carlton, but I reckon they've improved it.
He's down early with 5 minutes to go in the quarter. Kevin Sheedy on the bench coaching. Bomber. Defensive area. Solomon. Picked up by McGrath on the boundary line. Impossible shot. Lovett Murray to relieve pressure.
Kepler Bradley. We'll go back to Lovett Murray by hand. He left the footy behind. Wiggins is going to close him down. This is good pressure from Wiggins. Really worked that well. Made the Bombers earn it across half-back. It's still in there. It's going to end up with Waite. And Waite rushed the shot when he had some time. But the young man Wiggins, Simon, worked very hard.
Not for the first time, just a bit casual out of defence, the Bombers, and getting run down from behind.
Love to get a close-up of the ball when we get a chance, JB, just to have a good look at the points on it. There's the big fella.
Go, Brian.
Yeah, has got the ball short. I'm serious about this, and you guys can tear it to bits if you want, but you need to have a good look at yourself. Welsh. Short ball, Peverill. I'm very serious, Gary. Short pass is brilliant.
Let's have
there he is. Now look at the left footer.
That's looking like a pretty good nut to me.
There it is. It's very sharp and pointy.
How do you know that?
You can just see it, Gary. The hardness in the leather as Dyson winds up, and look at the lack of spin in the ball. I'm telling you, this is no coincidence in football today since we've brought in this new rule.
I would have thought on wet days, Brian, that the new pill would be a good thing, just to get the dry, lighter ball into the action as Waite's got it on the outer side. Happy to bow to your better judgment. I'm just putting the contrary argument.
Don't bow.
I'll tell you what, just interview, say, a key forward at the end of the game.
I know where you're coming from, Brian. I understand where you're coming from. I'm sure I agree with it as stringently as you do.
Waite to McLaren to Wiggins. I think Brian spent the day with Fev yesterday and already knows his opinion, so that's why he wants Fev on, as Scotland's got it in the centre of the ground. We'll go for the long ball. Fisher in some room, and that's a good mark. No, not paid. Houlihan over the top. Simpson with the left foot ball. Here is Brendan Favola. Goes with the one hand and takes the mark.
Well, now, fair dinkum. Have a look at the other two blokes here. It's DeLuca and who's the other guy just standing around? McGrath, is it?
Yep.
Get out. They almost mucked that up then. They almost made it more difficult. Look at this. Body strength and all of those things combined.
Oh, he's too strong.
Johnson comes in. He's only in there because McGrath's in there. They have just got to shove off. DeLuca as well. He hasn't taken a mark yet, DeLuca, I don't think. So the chances of him taking a contested mark in the goal square are slim. Shove off. Leave this man one out.
To make it an 11-point game. Different hold on the footy for the Fev, but he should complete this, and he does. Kicks it up into the second tier. Blues get another one.
Just the way that was set up is copybook. He stood there, demanded that the ball get kicked to the top of the square. Too much size, too much strength. It was an exceptional effort, but it shouldn't have been that difficult in the end. Mark Johnson almost cut it off. Lovett Murray was thereabouts as well. If that was one out, that's just a pretty simple result for Big Brendan. So that remains the big win for the Blues right there, that matchup.
So the Blues have kicked 4 goals to Essendon's 2 in this second quarter. And as we get down to the last couple of minutes, the Bombers need a goal. Blues have kicked the last 2. Favola's got a couple. And all of a sudden an 11-point margin, which is one of the bigger margins in this game so far, as Stevens with the clearance. DeLuca. Johnson under it. Oh, beautiful pick up, Walker. Here's the long ball. Got the sit over the top. And the mark is taken by Favola.
Or Fisher.
I think he's going to pay it to Fisher.
I reckon he was the man in front, Fisher.
I reckon he's going to give it to Fisher.
No, he's not.
Fev's just claimed it.
Either way, once again, boys, I know Fisher's playing well.
I think he's going to give it to Fisher.
He is too.
And he's just seeing if Fisher is
not
fit.
Fisher's mark.
Just seeing if Fisher is fit to take the ball, and Fisher's going from the ground.
Shoulder.
So Martin Ellis was definitely going to pay it. Look, he's taking the ball off him now and going over and saying, can you kick it? And he's saying, no, I can't. So now Martin Ellis will give the ball back, and Brendan's going, what are you doing to me?
I reckon it's in the hands of the man that marked the footy anyway in the end. And once again, I'd ask the question, Fisher, he's playing well, Fisher, so that's probably a little unfair. But again, if he wasn't there, he gets a free run at it, Brendan Favola.
Might have a stinger, Fisher, Gary.
Stinger, definite stinger.
Here is Favola. I just feel the momentum building in this man's game at the moment because of the direction from Gareth up in the box here. Just word has filtered through to the Carlton box, I think. That is a lovely kick off the boot with a ball that's been worn in.
Yeah, well, he's in good nick. I reckon he has been for a while. Great pick up this. Have a look at this pick up from Walker at pace. He gets better and better. Now, Fisher drops back into the hole. He's brave and he's strong and he's a courageous player, but I reckon Favola marked the footy. There's the big hands, the Dukes with the tattoo on the inside of the forearm. And he's kicking nicely, which is always a good sign. So, Solomon's been moved onto him.
He's one of the reasons you go to the footy, Big Fev. And he's worked through 3 in this term. Carlton now out to a comfortable lead. Reynolds and Carrazzo. Reynolds did well.
Been moved off Favola. Reynolds. Solomon's gone on to him.
Around the body to Welsh. He goes with a long one forward. Thornton will go to Waite after taking a good mark. The kick wasn't great. Not going to matter though, because Waite's got all sorts of room to move. McLaren provides him some more room with a good shepherd. And this is Kennedy. Inboard, Scotland. The former Pie to McLaren. 50 seconds left, as you can see. McLaren's kick's not great. In fact, it's far from great, and Kennedy's got to really work hard at ground level. Dempsey, handball away. Lovett's wrapped up in a very good Simpson tackle. Peveril struggling for touch. Goes to Lucas, just the one hand from that player.
There's a man struggling for touch. Lucas, one handball for the quarter.
Whitnell. The Blues get in each other's way again. Off the ground, though, not going to work. And Simpson to Houlihan. 20 seconds left in it. Can they get another shot on goal here, Carlton? Kennedy chewing up some time. Yeah, he needs to. In there long. Favola got a couple of beat in the air. He got the jukes to it, but was unable to take it, and that might be the last play of the half. Hear the siren sound, and the Blues will take a 17-point lead into halftime.
They will. Kevin Sheedy's got a little bit of work to do. He's got a forward line that is struggling to kick goals. That man is in, well, he's in a bit of a rut. That man caught fire a little bit. Got 3 goals, Brendan Favola, in the second quarter. So right now, honours to the Blues. 7-5-47. 17 points in front of Essendon for 6:30. Welcome back to the MCG. I hope you're with your mum, just maybe snuggled up in front of a warm fire on what's been a chilly Mother's Day. 47-30, 17 points the margin in favour of the Blues. They're going very nicely. A lot of conjecture over the balls in the first half. Chris Jones has gone down to do a little bit of investigative work just for you, Brian. Jonesy.
Exactly right, just for Brian. Now I'm here with Matt. These are the balls, Brian. You're right, they are a little bit harder.
Oh, Jonesy.
This is one of the balls that they used before the game that they were kicking around with. This is one of the new ones. It is a bit harder, Brian. I'm on your side. Just to let you know, guys, too, Brad Fisher's been taken to hospital. He's going to have x-rays on his shoulder.
Beautifully done, Jonesy. My suggestion is they let the players use them in the warm-ups, all of them, from the moment they arrive at the MCG.
Well, not such a bad idea.
All right, we're ready to go. Second half of football at the MCG. 2 of the big name sides in the competition locked in a battle here at the moment that sees the Blues up by 17 points. Heavy traffic, Scotland gives them run. I'd like to see him score a few more goals. High ball. Favola got pushed under the ball by Reynolds, but the mark is taken by Kennedy.
Well, Kevin Sheedy is nothing if not loyal to his players. Joel Reynolds is lined back up on Brendan Favola, which I find quite unbelievable, to be honest, and probably should have been given a free kick. But on this occasion, Kennedy's taken a very strong mark. I like the look of this young man. Hasn't done a lot, but he's got a good look about him, Brian.
Well, let's see if he can kick his first goal in league football in his second career game. Directly in front, 45 metres out. The approach is good. The distance is good, but the accuracy just offline. Not the start the Blues would have loved.
From the East Fremantle Football Club in Perth, Brian.
Is he?
Yep. The most successful club in the WAFL. This is a dangerous kick. Broken up by Eddie Betts, who's played very nice football in the first half of this game. Cooter went without it. Now there's numbers back for the Bombers. Stanton. Lovett Murray. Picked up now by Jobe Watson.
Kick.
That is a good kick. Got it to McPhee. Inside the forward 50. That's a beautiful kick. And Lovett's taken the chest mark.
Well, Andrew Lovett started in the goal square, and his opponent Simpson's gone down to play him. Not such a bad move. Been out of sorts in the first half. Looked like he may have been on the receiving end of a bit of a bake. So Sheeds has just thrown him forward. Difficult matchup. A lot of speed, a lot of pace. So Simpson's got to work it out.
That was a lovely piece of delivery from McPhee. So Lovett with a set shot. It looks okay, just nicks the post. It was always easing its way right, and behind each to start the second half.
What have the Bombers got to do, do you reckon, Gary, to regain the ascendancy in
Scott
this game?
Lucas is an absolute key to this, not only because Whitnall's dictating a bit from half back, but he's got to get himself into this game. Find a few goals, get himself busy.
Okay, here's young Murphy. Very nicely developing player for the Blues, and Saddington, the former Swan, on the half-back line. Sees something he likes down the field, and it's Walker. He's got a lot of time on his hands here. Able to kick the ball long. It wasn't great, was it? And all the Carlton players had let up, and McPhee ran into a bit of a wall. Here's Wiggins with a sharp handball that missed the intended Walker target. Still got the numbers around this, the Blues. Houlihan was desperate. Walker got a good shepherd from his teammate in Bentic. Just not crisp by hand at the moment, the Blues. Murphy. It was picked up by Peveril. Stanton needs to be quick and decisive with his movement, and Monfries ran into the Scotland brick wall. Houlihan around the body, but the Bombers still strong enough through Bolton.
Good mark. Important mark at centre half back. Lovett Murray. Short ball to Peveril. Stanton. Long one to Hill is good. Well done.
And I like the fact that he has started forward as well. They haven't got a match-up for him. They have not got someone to go with David Hill. So let Laycock do the hack ruck work around the ground and see if you can't get 4 goals out of this fellow.
The skipper, David Hill.
The hack ruck work.
He's already got one for the afternoon. I know it didn't sit comfortably on me either, Brian. But that's low and straight. And the Bombers get the first goal of the second half.
Brian, you know as well as I, that's the money men, the guys that put it through up there, that get the job done and win you the games. Let those ruckmen jump into each other. The very, very finest exponents get some nice palming work done that gives you a leg up. Otherwise, let them belt themselves around, get Hill forward and kick his 4 or 5. Then you'll see the game perhaps tilt in favour of Essendon.
Back pedal of the highest order there,
No
Brian.
back pedal from you, pretty boy. You wouldn't know a thing about it. You can call the game.
David Hill getting his second goal for the Bombers and giving them a bit of hope here. Let's see what they can do with the clearance. Some hack ruck work by Big Laycock in the middle, forcing the clearance for the Bombers, which I would have thought vital in modern footy. And here's Watson. Hasn't been all that impressive today. Has Watson, I think he's had about 13 disposals for the game, which is not bad, I guess. Lucas, Whitnall pursuing. Lucas able to run him off. Bradley around the corner with a bit of a stand-up, sit-up kick, and gave Scotland the box seat against Mark Johnson. So let's see whether the Blues have got the composure in the young legs to just withstand a mini Bomber challenge here. As the ball from Bentic is wide to McGrath, turned over, Hill got in the way. That's a throw, umpire, and he got it.
Gee, what an important tackle.
Very nice umpiring by that man there, Damien Sully.
Just a good tackle it was from McGrath.
McGrath has the ball to McLaren. Off to Scotland. Goes in the weight direction. That's a terrific kick from Scotland. Same as we saw from McPhee at the other end. The delivery beautiful.
I think Brian mentioned it pre-game that Heath Scotland always gets a ton of the footy, but like to see him be a bit more damaging with it, and that is what you're talking about, Brian. Beautiful disposal.
Jared Waite has 8 goals so far this season. Hasn't kicked one this afternoon. Doesn't want the mouthguard anywhere near it. Tuck that into the jocks. Good luck putting that back on as Jared from 50. Looks good. Ah, very nice. Blues get their first of the second half.
Well, they had 2 good targets on that occasion as they came forward. I guess that's the only thing they need to be a bit careful of. Waite and Favola both lead for the same footy here. So they just need to be aware. They've got to maintain some space for each other. And I guess try and come up with some sort of a plan that enables one to go at the footy and the other one to drop back and be that long target if the short pass is not on. But an important goal.
So the Blues have all of the answers at the moment as Dean Solomon gets them attention on the back, just routine attention there. And he's been significant, and he's late come back into this side with some withdrawals, some big withdrawals today for the Bombers in Rioli and Fletcher out of the side. There was one other, Gary, that slips the mind. May have been McVeigh.
Who's been very good this year, Mark McVeigh.
He has, and because of that, Solomon got a reprieve and was back into the lineup. Wiggins didn't travel 15, no mark. Houlihan, quick, look at that. Favola, Jukish.
No.
Just got the little Jukes out there and was unable to cement the ball in them.
Not Jukish enough.
Bradley along the line, damaging kick. Heffernan running onto the ball, wants to take Scotland, waits for the support run of Monfries, which was good. Intelligent use. It was meant for Watson, but Lucas said anything that comes inside the red arc is mine.
And just don't bother leading either. Dukish.
Maybe that's one that you suck into the big chest, Brian.
Yeah, it could have been. It is interesting when Lucas has got the ball, and look, if you can kick goals and that's your job, then great. But there are no leads offered when this man is lining up for goal. With good reason. He's normally pretty accurate, and he does get the job done more times than not. But that one leaning back a little bit, searching for the longer journey and just pulling it across the body.
Not sure it was the best choice to go there short in the first place. But anyway, he's got to start to work his way into this game, Scott Lucas.
Look at all the balls coming out of that bag.
Just Simpson wanted the old ball. Said to the man who gave him the freshie, put that back in the bag.
I'm telling you, it's a factor.
Bentic.
I'm telling you, don't raise it again, all right? I've had enough.
Has had a bounce. He needs to kick it at some stage. Does so now. Big Lance has got
look at
Lance.
Lance.
Murray to beat. He's having just a patch here, Lance. Kick to the hot spot. Cooter to fly. Ball on the deck. Watson was good. Heffernan ran into a heap of trouble. Bolton got it off to McPhee. This is going to work. Winderlick's got the sleeveless sweater on now. Has a bounce. Closes in on 50. Goes with a low ball. It's going to bounce through.
Very lucky that he got it. He did get it, so no more debate need to be entered into. But I just want to say, Jason Laycock on his own running into the square. But if you got the confidence to have a crack at it, this all started with the kick initially from Lance and the way they set up Carlton. They just didn't give Brendan Favola a chance to compete one out. And the rebound came out and away they went. All the players are up the ground. And Jason Winderlick, just nice, deft little touch and just ran it through, dribbled it through.
Back to a clean 10-point margin in favour of the Blues, with 13 minutes having been played. As Watson out of the middle, the ball forward is marked by Thornton in fine style.
Been moved on to Hill, Thornton. Watson getting busy too.
Thornton shortish, finds Bentic. He can go corridor if he wants. Look at Lovett run from behind. Good chase. Just the pressure that he would have Noren was coming was enough. Scotland's handball. The turnover complete. Heffernan, now they've got the numbers running forward. Monfries, any one of a number of options. Lovett now from Lovett Murray. Got one of the little slaps to the tummy.
That's a ruckman standing on the mark, which means there's two Essendon ruckmen in the square.
Lovett Murray to Watson. And Lovett behind play, just winded, I think. Got the slap in the tummy.
He's been a spark here. Let's have a look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of a round arm riser. This is coming up for possession number 6 for the quarter. Joe Watson. Now, he was the man who really got them going and sparked them last week against the Tigers. He's been a bit quiet in the first half, but once he gets going, he's a big accumulator and he's a big clearance player.
Played all of the quarter so far. Joe Watson comes in from 35 out, difficult angle. You can see the reverse shot of it there, and he's just nursed and caressed that almost through perfectly, but it hit the inside of the goalpost. And just the minor score. He liked it. He liked it off the boot.
Nick Stevens to Bentic. Now Whitnell. And the big boy Lance over the top to Houlihan. 4 possessions and they still haven't cleared the defensive arc. They'll do so now. Bentic's run into some space. No one seems to want to man up on him.
Oh, that's 50. Absolutely.
The 50.
Can't wrap your arms around a player if you, well, at the best of times, but especially if you're not in the marking contest. That is exactly why the rule was brought in, and a very good rule that it is.
Untidy from Brian's boy Dyson. As Stevens, beautiful kick. That didn't get to the Fev on the full. Murphy now puts on the afterburners, and around the body it goes. Kennedy in at the back. Wait. No mark taken. Free kick. Blues.
Push is paid.
On Kennedy. It's got to be.
Against McPhee. He looked to be the one that was sort of taking the big ride. Very interested to have a look at it. It's not the free kicks you get, it's where you get them. Let's have a look. Kennedy.
Oh, a little bit of high contact there, but it was marginal, wasn't it?
Not much. Not much. I thought it was a genuine attempt from McPhee to spoil.
Well, Kennedy has it. And should convert, and does. That is his first goal in league footy, Gaz.
Yes, and look at it. Yeah, support there from the Blues, which is great stuff. To get to the young man, I think he's going to be... Just love the size. He's got really good size. Genuine centre-half forward size. Bit of a soft free kick, but for the young man in his first goal, he doesn't really care, that's for sure. And, well, he's a find, and this is what Carlton are all about. Walker's playing some really good footy. Adam McPhee's less than impressed, and I don't blame him. But Walker, McPhee, just good kids.
The Blues have put it back out to a 15-point margin with just over 10 minutes remaining in this third quarter. So they've responded well to the charge and positive play of the Bombers. Here is Watson, as Gary said. Can get on a roll out of the middle and likes the clearance stoppage area. Welsh forward with a tumble punt. Lucas just sending his man under the ball. Thornton seeing it over the line, and that won't be deliberate as some players appealing for it, and we will have a throw in deep at the Bomber end of the ground, which is the City end in this third quarter.
Bentic racking up some big numbers too. He's an improved player that sneaks under the guard.
Watson with his first spell for this quarter. Palm down from the big fella McLaren, just repeating the news. James Hird off early in the second quarter with what appears to be a hamstring. He sits there with Dean Solomon. And
Brad Fisher, the other player, Brian's gone to hospital for x-rays on a shoulder injury.
Soccer off the ground. Peverill, has it got the legs? No. Houlihan right on the line. Bomber fans in the rows behind liking that.
Houlihan gets around comfortably and then kicks to Lappin, his old mate, and gets him. And Matty copped a little shove, but nothing too serious. Here's Bentic. As I say, just finding all sorts of space. Off to Stevens. I'm not sure that that was the right option, but that was a good option to Saddington. And now for Vola.
He can't play fullback Joel Reynolds, and that's not a criticism, but I just watched that whole process. Then he didn't know where to stand. He didn't make any contact.
Well, yes, it is.
What's that?
It is a criticism.
Well, it is, but he's not a full-back,
Okay.
Jim. He's probably never played full-back in his life, I wouldn't have thought. Joel Reynolds, skinny little fella that he is.
Endeavouring that he never does either.
No.
I don't think he'll ever go back, Brian.
Here's the big boy, Fev. Kicked 3 in the second term. The dominant big forward on the ground, and that's what's ahead of him. That one's working its way back, but not enough. It's going to land in the square. Good mark taken there.
If they persist with Reynolds on Favola, he could kick 8 goals by the end of the game if they gave him the whole forward 50, which they haven't done at the moment.
It was McPhee, Brian, who took a very nice pack mark in the last line of defence.
They might do a Zach Dawson and just leave him there, Gaz.
Well, they're not right now. The Blues are doing him the biggest favour of all by not really opening up the whole forward line.
Bolton to Welsh, and a lovely kick and putting McPhee into open space was really nice by Welsh, and here's Lovett really got to have to do it in the air. The recovery from Simpson was much better than Lovett.
He was manhandled.
The advantage paid now. No, it'll come back because there was none, and he'll just give it back to Lappin, and they get a better position because of it. And now Lappin goes. There is Lovett just upending and forcing the turnover. So a good pressure in the end by Lovett.
Kick across goal. Lucas will be closed down by Eddie Betts.
If Lucas is there, it means Lance is at the other end somewhere.
Peveril, kick too fierce for him. Stevens is going to come over here. He's got Lance if he wants him on now. Inside to Saddington. Now Lappin will get on the end of this. He can slip it over the top to Waite, but the mark wasn't taken. McPhee now to Hill. Back to Johnson. We've seen skill errors cruel the Blues in the last month when they've been in positions to win games. Lovett and Simpson. Good duel, this one. Simpson went back and got it. The second efforts of Lovett already have been questioned by the coaching staff at the Bombers today. McGrath. Ball held to him. He's gone. No effort to get rid of it. No, the umpire says he will ball it up as we go down to Chris Jones.
You see Scott Lucas just having a run on the ball now. He came off for literally only 20 seconds. Gary, why would that be?
No idea, but he's gone back to play where he's started at centre-half forward on Whitnell now. Maybe just a message, a reminder from the coach.
Here we go. Stanton loves to get inside. Look at the fluent run and disposal of Dyson was just nonchalant. Beautiful.
Second goal to Brian's boy. Did it nicely. They stay close enough. The Bombers are not going to go away. I don't think the Blues will put them away. Not while they're set up the way they are at the moment, but just good work from Brett Stanton too. We spoke about him at half-time. What about the dribble? Were you happy with the dribble?
Well, the bounce could have got him, but I was confident in his ability to pull the dribble off.
Why would he dribble and not kick it truly?
Don't know. It's just a modern thing.
Just going to have a look at some of that hack ruck work that means nothing, Brian. It's just into the path of Stanton.
David Hill is not one of them. Don't put words in my mouth. He's a quality ruckman.
To create a goal. As we'll get this restarted, Brian, in the centre. And
just not playing with the truth here, Brayshaw.
Essendon
Very
to
loose
within
with the
9
facts.
points.
Hasn't had a good day today, Gaz.
No, it hasn't been his sharpest. DeLuca out of the centre. Betts has been very, very effective. Thumps the handball wide. Winderlich back inboard. Dangerous ball here for the Bombers. Peveril got a little boot in there that was okay. The goal kicker Dyson. To Johnson, tried, they don't argue, but couldn't get it through. Dyson's going to get it back. No, he's in all sorts of trouble. Lovett to Hill. The game's gone up a cog. Hill forward. Heffernan. High to the hot spot, but it's all Blues back here. Saddington honest in the air. Thornton.
Oh, Lance is down.
Wide to Nick Stevens. Stevens has Kennedy further afield. The delivery from that player normally good. No jukes, Brian. Ball over the line. As Big Lance picks himself up, he's a little ginger.
One of the things they'll be thinking about right now, friendly fire from Saddington. He looks to be okay, Lance. He's up and about. Is the fade out last week of the Blues against the Pies.
Yes, the second half last week that the Pies were able to pile on was very impressive, Gary.
Well, that's what the Bombers would be thinking about right now, Brian. That would be the Pies against the Blues.
Bradley, ruck contest will go Hill's way. No advantage. I'm not sure why, because they had clean possession. Now Hill gives it to a juggling Lovett Murray. Sees Lucas in the corner. Did well, Lance. Got one high. Bentic, surely a free. Nothing, said the umpire. 5.5 minutes remaining, and it is the Blues by 9 points. Hasn't been more than about 9 to a dozen points in it in this quarter at any stage. Jason Johnson. Around the body, Lance Whitnall, just patrolling the last line as he does so effectively.
He gets plenty of the ball, and he's a good man to have the ball in his hands. Betts. Growing with each week, Eddie Betts. Not just an opportune forward, he's actually starting to get a lot of the ball around the ground. Scotland. Houlihan. Houlihan with lots of room to move. Look for him to hit a target, and look for that target to be Favola. Good user of the football, Houlihan. I reckon Big Fev, Gary, when he looks up the field and sees either Stevens or Houlihan with the prune, likes what he sees.
He does. He likes what he sees when Joel Reynolds stands next to him too.
How easy was that?
He's just, the only thing is that he's being pushed wide too often, and that is because the movement of the ball initially went sideways before it went forward, which allowed the Bombers to get one back.
3 already this afternoon, Big Brendan. And that one's got too much left to right about it. A power fade there for Fev, and that's another behind.
Not sure he needs to be leading as much, Brian.
Yep. Stationary in the square with that little man on him. Joel Reynolds. Ball back into play by Watson. And lovely skills finding Lucas on the march.
He's a very good player, Joe Watson. Hopefully we'll get to see him. He almost changes his kick halfway through here, because the Lucas lead, well, he dictated that he came back. I think he was going to go wider, Scott Lucas, and he was good enough to find him on that lead.
This man has a very high percentage of shots going through on the set shot from here. 87%. This time just offline and minor score. That would have been very handy for the Bombers nearing three-quarter time, Gary.
8 touches, Joe Watson, in this third quarter.
That's a big miss for Scott Lucas, because it's a chip shot really, given his range, and almost directly in front. Saddington has it. Former Sydney Swan, and weren't they impressive yesterday in their demolition of the Tigers. Goes wide. Stevens, the target out there, taken to ground, wants a free, won't get it.
Anthony Koudafi's just back onto the ground, had a very quiet afternoon, just the 5 touches. Unlike this man, Bentic, who's up to 21 for the game.
Koudafi's will go up against Hill. Bit of a rucking mismatch. There's Bentic at ground level. Jason Johnson's wrapped him up. The umpires these days let the play unfold. They hold the whistle in these situations, but that was locked in. Now it's thrown up. Again, Hill and Koudafi's. You can imagine that Hill's going to win them all day long. Lappin at the back to Betts. In fact, it's McGrath. And McGrath goes long, looking for Favola. 2-on-1 situation. Bolton, couple to beat. Reynolds in real strife, did well. Got it off to Stanton.
Stanton, short ball, time ticking over. 2.5 remaining in the third. Solomon finding Watson. Dyson through the middle. That one off the side, but Hill still in good position. Oh, he had his man beaten, and Lappin and just fell straight through the arms.
Did everything right, David Hill, except mark it.
And he did. Now the Blues, can they make them pay? Houlihan, he's got weight on short, but he wants Favola to come on the big, long lead, and that's where it's at. Favola now pushing Reynolds, but Reynolds went with the momentum of the ball, and now it's the Bombers' turn to counter-attack from half-back, and the short ball with the prolific ball getter in this quarter in Watson. He's had 20 for the game, and 50% of them in this quarter.
No one's picking him up. That's the other thing.
There's the debutant in Courtney Dempsey. Kick was smothered. Time ticking down. Carrazzo. Still time for both of these sides to give the scoreboard a bit of a shake here. Over the top, Wade. Carrazzo. This is a better build-up for the Blues. Now they're within range. Got McGrath wide. Got to work. Welsh. Now Favola, if he can stay one out. Walker needs to keep his man out. McGrath says, come at me.
Kick it.
Favola says, I'm not coming at you. Kick it in the square to me, because I am bigger and harder and more brutish than this man.
Disgraceful.
And I will out-muscle him. Gary, I've never seen a more stark example.
Disgraceful, and there's a good friend of ours that had just about, well, turn it up if you had seen that.
Yep, I know who you're talking about, and he's about to anyway. Pepperell from 45 out can really sting the Blues. Pulled it away to the right for a behind.
It is just unforgivable when you have this mismatch in size and weight and strength, and you go poking around like he did on that occasion.
33 seconds left. Houlihan threads it nicely to a man who can use it by foot in Stevens. Over the top, Scotland. Now sit it on Fev's head, Gary Lyon says. And that's the direction the kick goes. Holding.
Oh, honestly.
Free kick to Big Brendan.
And even that one, McPhee had got back, but
He did, but exactly. But this not poor bloke, this young bloke is out of his depth. He knows it, so he gets desperate. So what happens then? You don't have to mark it. In fact, it was a pretty soft free kick.
There.
I thought it was for a hole, but there was nothing there, was there?
gee, that was rough.
Was he paid for blocking his run?
Not sure.
Very soft.
Anyway, big free to Favola. Right in front. And that is a big bonus for the Blues on three-quarter time. Got his fourth.
Well, I'd be having a smile too if I was Brendan Favola on that one, because it was hard to see exactly what it was for. I'd like to have another look at it. I'm sure we will. Now, did he take his eyes off the football and block his run? That would be... Oh, no. No umpire. I'm sorry. I can't have that. Can't have that, but Brendan will take it. They've just seen the replay on the scoreboard here, and they don't like it either.
Well, Brendan Favola has kicked his fourth and got the Blues 14 points up as we near, with 4 seconds remaining, three-quarter time. You think that'll be the final score in this quarter? Up they go in the middle, need a very quick clearance, which we're not going to get, and from a very iffy free, the Blues have nailed a timely goal. It was a 3-goal apiece quarter, that one. And Brendan Favola kicking his fourth. Sheedy's got his worries, and that man's on fire. And if they can just get it in long and strong to the one-out contest, he will get the job done. Three-quarter time sees a close game. Stay with us. The Blues 10-7-67 to the Bombers 7-11-53.
Let's get it started. The run home. Trying to win their second game of the season, both clubs. And we're at round 7. Half forward for the Blues. Wrapped up ball. Umpire wants to take a good look at it. Now he will ball it up.
Given that they have only had one victory each, this becomes important. Number 1 ranked side in the last quarter of the Bombers. They're coming from some way back. You would expect this to be as desperate a last quarter as any for the year, wouldn't you?
Well, Mark Johnson's going to do the ruck work there. Mr. Sunbury gets it off to Winderlick. Ball is tumbling towards the line. Monfries has been a bit quiet since the opening term. He's taken that over the line.
Well, we got one forward line. It's got Andrew Lovett as the full forward, Simpson his opponent. On the other end, you got Favola and Reynolds. The matchup persists.
Bentic to Kennedy. Bounced off his chest. McGrath tried to get it going forward. Little ball. Fev and Reynolds. The ground level ball won by Favola. Handball inboard to Eddie Betts. Around the corner with a left foot ball that went a mile wide of the target. Jared Waite, standing in the square, wondered why it wasn't heading in his direction.
Josh Kennedy just got to get a little bit more, as if every single mark or possession is the most important in your life. And it's hard to imagine that when you're just starting out your AFL career, but that's the way he's got to treat it.
Let's look for the early signs of desperation in these two units out there today. In this last quarter, close game we've got and nothing in it. Anyone can win it. McLaren's mark was nice. Centering ball to Stevens was equally as impressive. Cooter offered a lead, nothing. Now Longy's weight, Favola offers a lead, but he goes in the weight direction. Look at the outstretched jukes.
Right. That's what we like to see from the big forwards.
Strangling the ball. Look at this. Look at the vice-like grip around the red Sharon.
Long kick too was important. Favola led across in front of the pack, took his man with him. Waite went in behind the other way. It was a beautiful kick.
And a lovely mark to finish off with. Waite for his second goal. There's the angle. Oh boy. He didn't prepare at all well for that.
Gee whiz. Game on the line here. It would have made it very difficult for the Bombers.
That is the 4th poster today, and that is a very big miss. So the Bombers breathe a sigh of relief as McPhee goes long. Well done, Thornton. Been a terrific play today.
Get a feeling it might mean a little bit more to the Blues than the Bombers at the moment, Brian.
There's the first real signal of desperation.
A player you don't mention much at all, Gary, and I think it's something you should address in your
Don't tell
own
me what to do,
styles, Jim. But Thornton very, very good today. Here we go with Scotland. Off to Saddington. He goes with the handball, which will work out okay, and the Blues through either Simpson or Stevens on the members' side of the ground. Nick Stevens up and about in the final term, drills it, looking for Lappin. Kick didn't get to him, and Heffernan was terrific.
That was good. Beautiful defensive halfback work from Heffernan. Had a brief stint with the Demons and now back with his beloved Bombers. Short ball, Lovett to Walsh.
Karata it was.
Welch. Was it? Knock away. Stevens. Heffernan. Now Lovett. Looking to sell some candy and just bit off a bit more than perhaps was capable of chewing.
Again, there's some desperation that you spoke about. Bentic, the player, has he been very good today? Here's interchange bench. Murphy, Fisher, DeLuca and Wiggins. Expect to see that. Oh, not Fisher certainly, but the others.
Ball up, neutral territory on the wing. The Blues. Carrazzo's kick smothered by Watson. He'll be important as this quarter goes on. McGrath wrapped up in the tackle, dropping the ball. Umpire was unsighted, so he lets it go. Fair enough in the circumstances. Look at Dyson go in. Now he comes out with clean ball. Clean ball. Long ball. Lucas Whitnell did really well without infringing. Carrazzo had a little fumble. Wasn't clean at the ground level. Look at Lucas take on 1, 2. Now he wants to take on the third. Give it to me. Give it to me. And he gets it. Lucas around the corner. Did well to straighten it up, but Saddington there to take the defensive mark.
Just well played by the Blues players, working Lucas to the wrong side of the body. Bought them a bit of time. Big Lance, he's just been terrific today. Like your comments before the game even started, boys, about the use of Lance Whitnell. He's shown in the last fortnight his work at halfback has been sensational for Carlton. This is a talented young man in Andrew Walker. They're not winning too many games, the Blues, but they're getting games into these young high draft picks, and they're starting to show a bit. Watson, good handball. Welsh to Kepler-Bradley. Now McPhee. Stanton further afield if he wants him, or the long ball option. Whitnell again. Lucas closed him down. Monfries. Handball on the up to Lovett. Standing start. Banana ball is there.
Much excitement from Andrew Lovett after the goal. Not much excitement at all. Now, you get to a stage where they've lost a bit of faith in Scott Lucas. This is a beautiful finish, by the way. That is a class act. They've lost a little bit of faith in Lucas only because Whitnell's playing so well. It'll be back next week, but they look up and they see him and Lance Whitnell, and Whitnell's won so many one-on-ones that they're less inclined to go to him. So one of these other Bomber players has got to really step up and draw the footy.
The Andrew Lovett goal was full of skill with the right foot banana from the stationary stance. And now the Bombers within single figures. 9 points adrift. Plenty of time on the clock. Hill, strap yourselves in because this one's going to go to the wire. As we see a scrum take place, Watson might be penalised. No, good the way the umpires let it go. Eventually the players are willing to knock it out, which is much better than having continual stoppages. Wade overrunning it. Love it, Murray. Backward paddle of the ball.
Not a throw.
Oh, I thought it was. Peverill. Winderlick. Oh, a little bit precise, but Ricky Dyson able to absorb all of the punishment. That half forward.
Yeah.
Lucas, no, the free kick will come to Monfries as the blood rule takes effect on Dyson. Bit of claret from the nose.
I'm just looking to see who's down to pick Watson up. Jason Johnson comes on. Mark Murphy is a player that might have to take the responsibility for Jobe Watson, because otherwise he will just keep fighting the footy.
Right on the beak there for Dyson. So Monfries to take the kick. Just sits it up nice and high. They come from everywhere. Fist away from the Blues defence. Cooter's hands were good. Eventually Stanton.
Oh, look out.
Oh, and over the top. All on his own. He's gone to ground. And that is not going to go through.
My Lord.
That is outrageous. He had to go back and kick the goal.
Not having the greatest of days, Andy Lovett, but keep your head up, son. There is time to turn it around.
Oh, you just would not believe that that was possible.
Even the second effort there was a chance. Just couldn't get it done. Comical scenes.
That is a great kick from Nick Stevens.
On the non-preferred side of the big fella, Kennedy. And now he works for Bowler into the picture. Look at Eddie. Head of steam. Did not handball or kick it, umpire. Surely a free kick. Must dispose of the ball by hand or foot. Chris Jones, ground level. Jones, are you there? So the Bombers.
Not a minute. 15 handball receives to the Bombers, 5 Carlton. They are running the Bombers. They're running this game out better at the minute.
It is lifting in intensity considerably as we close in on the last dozen or so minutes.
Best last quarter team in the competition too. Let's not forget that.
And they were the worst last year, so they've improved that part. Murphy onto the non-preferred side. The young man with great composure just straightens and sends it on its way.
Beautiful finish. What a beautiful finish from this young talent. Now, I think he's the bloke that's got responsibility for Jobe Watson. And in which case he's had a big win there because he's gone forward. Well, he might be resting forward now. In fact, he is. He's outside the centre square. So, lovely finish on the left. A little bit of breathing space.
What about the miss of Lovett now?
Oh, yes.
Murphy skips the Blues away. A goal apiece in this final term. Scotland. Long and high. Waite needs to make a contest of it. They spilt the mark in the end. The Bombers between the two of them. Mark Johnson might have had the footy held in. Umpire again lets a lot of play unfold before he blows it dead.
Well, this is the bench. We think that, well, we know Hurd's out of action. Solomon's had a lot of work done on his back. Laycock's a big lumberer, and there's the young man Dempsey. So it's the young legs of Dempsey they've got to rely on.
Favola inched it forward. Heffernan stripped of it. Scotland picks it up and kicks the Blues second in a row.
Oh, it's a long way back now. 21 points. We know as well on Andy Lovett, but had he kicked that goal, the margin would have been...
Would have been 3 points, I think,
points. Now all of a sudden it's snuck out to 21. Yes, and Heath Scotland, biggest lead of the match by the way, biggest possession winner on the ground, Heath Scotland. Nice little boomerang, banana kick. Hard to toss from here, the Blues.
Biggest margin of the game coming with 13 minutes remaining on the clock. Blues by 21 points. McLaren, Watson, great awareness of what's around him. Peverill, Koutafidis, wide to Stevens. Stevens with a penetrating low ball for Bowler, who just outstretched the hands and gloved it beautifully.
lines. Are they different to the Dukes?
Just a nice, softer touch there shown by Favola.
Well, I tell you, Nick Stevens has used the footy pretty well in the last couple of possessions he's had. This has been very character-filled for the Blues.
Concave hands. Have a look at the grip on Fev. I'm not sure about that. The right hand up and the left hand down, and making the kick perhaps a little more difficult than it needs to be. But let's have a look at the accuracy and the result of it. He's got 4 today.
No,
that one has stitched the game up. He's got 5.
He has indeed stitched it up, and well done. They were challenged. What's not over. In fact, sometimes get to a stage where you haven't enjoyed victories too often in the past couple of years, and certainly not this year, that you wonder whether sides know how to handle a lead like this at this stage of the game. But they certainly are giving every indication, Carlton, that they are up and about and they are intent on registering just their 2nd victory for the season.
Brendan Favola, 5 on the afternoon, as Hill almost clean possession. And a stacks on situation. Big Fev just bang Lovett Murray to the turf, Brian, and then a little strut afterwards. Just up and about he is, the big forward. We love to see him. Jason Johnson with a big long torpedo in the Lucas direction. And back with courage was Thornton.
Great courage from Thornton. I think he hurt himself. Now this is Doc Reed, who's supposed to be out attending to Andy Lovett. What sort of attention would Doc Reed be giving to Andy Lovett right there, would you think, boys?
Some emotional support you alluding to, Gary.
Oh, it's not a medical matter, surely.
Well, this is Joe Watson with the ball now around the body. Stevens, here's Lovett. Handball off to Watson. He's banged over by Murphy.
Free kick.
Free kick.
Push.
It's coming back. Blues fans unhappy. Bombers fans punching the air.
Blue players nonplussed. They're all standing around. They don't know what it's for. Was it in the side or in the back? That is the point of contention.
Well, what we know, Gary, is this is a big kick.
Well, he had the chance to maybe to stitch it last. Yeah, that's almost reasonable. Last week, and he was a star last week, but he did miss a goal or attempt a goal very late in the piece. So just got to go back and kick this, Joe Watson.
27 points the lead sits at the moment. Oh, no. And look at the Blues players get around him and give him a little bit of a cook.
Ooh, Nick Stevens, they find a bit of yap, the boys.
Well, an unfortunate miss, because had he kicked that, the Bombers were still a chance, and there's still plenty of time, 11 1/4 minutes remaining. So
now this is the interesting point here. How did the Carlton team handle a 26-point lead with 11 minutes to go? I'm not sure they should be trying to just run this thing down. Get on with it.
okay, we'll watch for that. Here is a man that's been impressive today, Josh Kennedy. His 2nd game of elite level football today for Josh. Kicked a goal, his first goal in league footy in that 3rd quarter. So he would be thinking he's had a pretty reasonable day, and I guess why not for a youngster playing in their 2nd game. Look at Favola run at the ball. Hill got in the way. Ball to ground now. Solomon tidying up. Now the handball into Winderlick. The run from Johnson. Oh, put under pressure Dempsey, but he handled the ball cleanly and well. Out wide looking for the smooth moving McPhee, who elevated wonderfully well, culminating in a mark. McPhee inboard. There he is, Mr. Sunbury, Mark Johnson. Wide to McPhee. Has plenty of time to look. That one's off the instep. Wasn't a great kick. Might work though. Betts pushed out of the way, off hands. Mark Murphy's had a pretty good game today, Gary. That one clearing the defensive 50 wide. Lovett Murray plants his heady over the ball. Wanted to take him on. Turnover affected.
Nick Stevens
Can run the whole way here, Nick
couple of
Stevens.
bounces. 3, in fact, just thumping the ball into the turf. 4 can do the Phil Manassa. No, the ball won't sit for him. Eventually the turnover. And the Bombers a chance. Monfries got it to Lucas.
Lovett Murray's chase was important then. He stuck at it.
To Stanton. Just the high ball now. Hill, a big chance here.
Oh, good effort.
McLaren went back nice and hard. Lovett, can he pick it up and again get the banana working?
Oh, don't tell me.
Have a look at this boy.
Don't tell me.
What is that? Has there been a more roller coaster final 10 minutes than that man?
I hate to acknowledge him, Brian, because of the total lack of humility attached to the unit, but Gary's right. A goal here, just the Blues, will they tighten up?
Oh, look at the kick. Two of those in this quarter.
That was better, that one. That was tighter.
And just celebrating with him.
Yes, he's still thinking about the slip, I think. Game on here.
Back to a 20-point margin. And they're on here, the Bombers. Lovett's kicked both of their last quarter goals to get them within 20, and both have been bananas from the boundary line. Outstanding skill shown by Lovett. Wiggins and Stevens. Waite gets down low. Too far out for him. Favola, you'd want him in the square. He goes to the leading lap, and I'm not sure that's the right option. You've got Reynolds and Favola at this stage of the game. You must go to the men that can get the job done for you. Eddie's got a free here.
Right, go now, Eddie.
He went into the nab sign, Gary.
Oh, into the nab sign.
He did.
Oh.
Eddie driving ball. Here they go. Standing over the top. Ground level ball. Lappin, Walker colliding off ground. What can they conjure up here, the Blues? Here's Captain Coda. Got the handball off. Scotland around the corner. Houlihan bets on the boundary, but well within his journey. Don't play on outside the boundary.
No.
Look at Eddie just looking up to see how high the sticks are.
Oh, look at it.
Just full of eyes at the moment.
He is. Oh, darting around.
Got a bit of the possum look about him. Up they go.
Oh, good boy.
Kennedy.
What a very good mark. Very, very good mark from Josh Kennedy. He's going to be he's a player, this boy. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, look at this man lining up for his second goal in football. And not a more important one will be kicked today, because I don't think that. Look at the goal umpire. Look at him cementing his shoes to the ground.
Good boy.
And Kennedy kicks his second, and surely the Blues are home.
Like to actually see a possum take a shot on goal.
Where is the possum? He had a hand in that. You'll see him come in the shot any minute now. There he is, the little possum. Nice. This is a very good mark. Oh, this boy, he's taken 7 marks, Josh Kennedy, in these conditions, and kicked 2 goals. I think centre half forward for the next 10 years could be penciled in here for this lad. He's a very good size. That's what the Blues would get excited about.
Excellent mark and goal from Josh Kennedy. The Blues look like they've done enough. McLaren and Hill. Clean possession for McLaren. Stanton crunched. And everyone on top.
Oh, dear me. This is a big day for the Carlton Footy Club. And look at that for the Bombers, rather. It's back to 1997 since they've lost 6 games in a row. I think this will be their worst start to a season ever under Kevin Sheed.
And they've got the West Coast next week.
And that's no snack.
Minus Hurd, minus, well, obviously, Lloyd.
Hill tried to shovel it back to Heffernan. Scotland involved as well. Heffernan might have copped a push, but lots of congestion, so the umpire keeps the whistle at bay, and so he should. Stevens is gone, holding the ball. He emerged from under about 5 there, and he'll probably argue his case, but won't matter. Stanton's the man who'll get the ball. Pumping ball from Stanton, looking for McPhee. It's fisted away from him. Lovett Murray around the body, and McPhee takes it this time, and he just goes. Has a fresh air shot with the ball. Inside the 50 it tumbles. Carrazzo goes to ground. Thornton. And now Whitnell. Been a pretty well organised unit, the Blues back half, and DeLuca now.
In the middle of the ground, DeLuca to Stevens. Still too early to soak the clock up just yet. Watson, got him in your best today, Gary, or not?
Not at this stage.
Wouldn't be far off. Welsh wide, and Stanton gets his good share of ball in each game that he plays.
putting the possum in there.
At 21 possessions today. For Welsh, standing start, delivers wide. McPhee. Now McPhee looking for the driving ball. Lucas offers up something short, but he wants to go long. Hill's getting into good position. Here he comes, the big fella over the top. Couldn't complete it. Off hands, Monfries. Little kick around the corner, gobbled up by the Blues defence, and they're out of trouble now. Wiggins. Wiggins sees Eddie. Eddie has a look. The fingertipper Eddie. Look at him wind up now. Couple of bounces. Looking for support. Turned him inside out. And Eddie just got a little carried away with his ability to carve up through heavy traffic.
Dempsey from Lovett Murray. The first gamer has a bounce. And then the handball off's okay to Bolton, who can set sail from 50 out and kick it. It's there.
Back to 20 points, 5 minutes on the clock. Need another clearance and a quick goal. You'd reckon if they're going to put any heart flutters into the Carlton faithful, there's Eddie Betts just doing too much. We tried to go inside. I'm not sure he realised that Adam McPhee, who was a terrific chase in the end, was stuck to his task as well as he did. This is the first game at Dempsey. It's nice to see him involved in a passage. That is a direct assist, which sometimes are as important as the goal.
Well, it's a 20-point margin. The Bombers trail, Gary. There's 5 minutes on the clock.
Need to bang it out of the middle here, Brian. Quick clearance.
See what they can do. Got the man in there. Hill just went without it. He had it covered in the air, but Bentic stole it. Favola! Ooh, just a little half yeah, just some unusual acrobatics with applied pressure. Now Brendan Favola will line up for goal number 6.
Well, it has to be in the most influential players on the ground.
Well, Brendan Favola will line up for goal here for his 6th goal. And he comes from 35 metres out. He's kicked pretty well today, Brendan Favola. Just a slow, deliberate run that I'd like to see. Got close to the man on the mark and just had to pull the kick up in its trajectory. He's got it, though. 6 for Fev.
Good return. 6 goals on a day that's a bit wet and a bit slippery is a very good return. Haven't had the match-up. I reckon sometimes... Oh, my Lord. That can be painful. Sometimes when you turn up to the ground, you find out you set yourself all week for Dustin Fletcher, and you turn up the ground and he's not there. That's a nice feeling to have.
Well, now the Blues are going to win their second, and the Bombers are going to be 1-6, which is an extraordinary place for this club to be in when they've been so good for so long. Just don't expect Essendon, Gary, to ever be 1-6. Let's go down to Jonesy.
Very dark down here, boys. The lights are really taking effect now. That attendance of 32,976 is the lowest since round 10 in 1992.
Gee,
Between these two clubs.
Correct.
Okay, McPhee, thumping handball. I suppose Mother's Day and 16th against 15th tells you a bit of a story.
And a bit of a chill in the air and a few droplets.
Carrazzo. I think we've pretty much crossed off why there aren't that many people here.
Mind you, Jim, when they're going well, would have had no effect, those factors.
Well, at the peak of their powers in 2000, when both of these sides were up and running, a crowd in round 20 of 91,571.
Oh, Bryson.
There you go. Just got this crowd covered by 60 grand as Lucas can't glove that one, and Big Lance helps him up to his feet.
Who have they got coming up, the Blues, in the next month? They got the Saints, who aren't going all that well. The Crows, well, they certainly are. The Power are battling. Not that mob. So they got 2 with a flying, one who are going okay and one who are struggling.
Simpson. Welsh. Stevens went with the one hand and in the end went without it. Stanton upended by Thornton. Wiggins to Stevens. Stevens with a standing start. Torp. Kennedy under the footy. Look at Eddie Betts. Just couldn't get hold of it. Kennedy comes back to lend some support. Here's Johnson. Murphy wrapped up and should be holding the ball, not paid. Lovett Murray slips it over the top in front of Mark Johnson.
Johnson gathers, driving ball. Lucas Peverill had a nice set, did some damage to his opponent in front as well.
Well done, Nick Stevens. That was the opponent you're speaking about. He had to go. He's in that position where he didn't want to be. He had to go. Essendon coming up. Not good round 8. Better round 9. Not good round 10. Not all that great round 11 either. That's a tough month ahead.
Kevin Sheedy in season number 26 as a coach. Off hands, Watson. The tackle by Simpson was good. Lovett kicked 2 goals in this quarter. Look at it. He's gone 2 bananas and 1 snap. And that one was across the face. He and Kevin Sheedy having some quite harsh words earlier in the day about what we don't know. And then he's gone on to kick a couple of freak goals in this last quarter as Andrew Lovett. 2:18 left in this one at the G. The Blues searching for their second victory. Here's Lovett. Tap on was great. And Watson finished with the soccer. Make no mistake about it. That's a Lovett goal.
He's just putting the votes together, Brian, and that Joe Watson goal, does that sway things around? Let's have a look at this from, that is a nice touch, absolutely.
Oh, look at that.
Joe Watson's had a very good day. He has racked up 31 possessions, 8 marks, 6 clearances. That is vote-worthy. That is very classy, isn't it, from young Andy Lovett.
Only been on 75% of the game too.
Late goal for Joe Watson, who is emerging as a high-quality midfield unit for the Bombers. McLaren went without it, gave it off to a man who's been a high-quality unit for a long time in Nick Stevens. Bangs it forward. Fev got the jukes to it but couldn't complete the grab. Ground level, not always his go, but he's got that back to a dangerous spot. Lappin picks it up. He's ragged on. Eddie Betts to Waite. Waite runs in, handball over the top, goal Blues.
They've worked hard. They worked hard right from the opening bounce, the Blues. I think we picked it early. They were up. There was a bit of a argy-bargy before the ball had bounced. The skipper, Anthony Koutafidis, unusually was involved in that, but that probably gave an indication that, you know, this was a fair bit at stake and they were desperate to get a victory here. And I think they've been challenged a couple of times. They haven't had it all their own way. And there's been a bit to like about it, actually, to get through here and knock over a struggling side in Essendon, but it's a win nonetheless. And he's been good.
26-point margin here. Will that be the final margin? We've got a minute and a half to play, and the Blues have been impressive here today. Their first win since round 1 when they beat Melbourne by 21 points. Thornton sideways. They're not done with yet. Wiggins. Poise shown to carry the ball. Here's Favola and he marks. Look at Wade in the goal square. And Brendan just doing what a good full forward do, and that is
He just turned around now, actually.
don't look down the field at all.
Well, not even a late one, Brian, just to give it the, oh, mate, oh, no. No, now he's covered. You wouldn't just feign one.
Just don't risk that because they can always pull you up on that.
Ends up with 7 goals, and Joel Reynolds has been on the receiving end of all of them. Is there going to be a Dawson-like outcry?
Well, we did mention the name Zach earlier in the game, and look at the hold on the ball. The left hand at the top, the right hand at the bottom, and Favola from 45, the easy guiding of it, just magnificent. Big Fev, he's kicked 7.
Oh, 7 and 4, 3 of them in this last term, Gary. And been the dominant big man on the ground, Fev.
I tell you what, I wonder if Kevin Sheedy will come in for the same sort of stick that Alistair Clarkson. Easy target, the second-year coach. Not sure they're that easy to target when they're the, what is the year is he into, Brian, please? 25th year?
26.
Joel Reynolds has been on him all day and he's not looked like it.
First game over 100 points this season for the Blues. And they're going to record their second win. Talk during the week about the financial problems at the club and whether they're going to need assistance from the AFL. Best way to get a footy club up and about is to get some wins on the board, and this will make all Blues supporters ecstatic.
Membership important too for the Blues, of course. They picked a few up. Maybe this will drag a few more through the gates.
Thumping handball from Wiggins. We've got time for another one.
Blue in the middle.
Scotland.
Big Kepler just sorting out a couple.
Straight to Kennedy.
Like this young lad. Could be a NAB Rising Star nomination coming up for this young man. He's after the siren just to put the icing on the cake for the Blues.
Well, let's see how he goes for number 3 on the day. And to really make it a good afternoon. Drop punt on the way. It's away to the right. But it doesn't matter. The Blues have got their second win of the season.
And lose the game's bad enough, but to see a superstar having done a hamstring setback's not great. We haven't heard this too often. Let's have a listen. $7,911, 11, 12, 78.
Well,
just raced the score out there, Brian, but I tell you what, it has been savoured by this rather smallish but loyal crowd, which is predominantly Carlton supporters now. The superstar, one of the stars of today's game with 7 majors, is Brendan Favola. He's down on the ground with Chris Jones.
Bevy, you've been in good touch all year. How much better is it when you win?
Oh, mate, we're in a real shoot at the moment at the footy club, and a lot's been said over the last week, and the boys to come out and beat the Arch Rollers and the Bombers and get a good win. It means a lot to the footy club and obviously to the boys.
At least you get some members, shouldn't it?
I hope so, but don't get too carried away. We've got St Kilda next week, and they're not going too well at the moment, so hopefully we can put up a good show next week.
Just tell us about the spirit amongst the guys today. It was a four-quarter effort, wasn't it?
Yeah, we before the game we sat down and in our meeting and went through everyone, and everyone told them what they thought of each other, and it was a big meeting, and I think we went out and Sticks spoke to us during the week, and Steve-O said to us before the game, remember what Sticks was like in the meeting, and I think that got us through. What
about yourself? You're killing them on the footy show. Your special comments on radio yesterday. It's all going well for you, isn't it?
I'll just keep it low-key, Jonesy.
Good on you, mate. Well done.
Low-key indeed. As the Blues, and this is good to see too, boys, because their fans have been pretty long-suffering now for a number of years, and they've just gone out to acknowledge the group that keep fronting up week after week.
Interesting that Stephen Kernahan, Gaz, just getting in and firing him up and letting him know about the tradition at Optus Oval and what wearing that jumper means.
Well, it's a great thing because it can be, if you've got new players in and they haven't experienced the great winning culture of this footy club, that it cannot be devalued, but it's perhaps not quite appreciated. So when you're someone of the magnitude of Stephen Kernahan, and there's none better than him, make no mistake, when he wanders in and tells you, then your ears prick up and you take notice. And there are some things to like about today for Carlton and their supporters. Young players are the future of the club, obviously, their way forward. And Andrew Walker, very good player. Mark Murphy, very good player. Josh Kennedy, they're all young, very good young players. And speaking of Josh Kennedy, Chris Jones has found him as well.
Well, Josh, congratulations. Your first win for the Blues. How's it feel?
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's just awesome. Can't explain it. So it's unreal.
What about when the crowd got behind you and you took a good grab in that last quarter?
Yeah, no, it was good. The crowd was great. The support was great, and yeah, I'm glad I got a couple of goals and should have kicked another couple, but yeah, unfortunately I missed them. So yeah, they're lucky.
Well, it's a great performance. Well done, mate. Go and celebrate.
Cheers.
Yes, could catch up with the rest of the boys. 2 goals, 2 to Josh Kennedy, and he's going to be a player, Brian.
Yeah, his second game of league football, and he looked composed. And, you know, I think the hardest thing for a young footballer to feel is that they belong and that they can actually mark the ball. And he certainly looks capable of all of that in that key forward post at centre-half forward at the moment. He'll come up against tougher opponents, I'm sure. And he'll have some down days, but today was a pretty good starting point, wasn't it?
Indeed, and they did it without much of a contribution from 2 of their real stars who have been carrying them for a long time. Matthew Lappin just 8 touches and Anthony Koutafidis just 8 possessions. So it wasn't as if it was on the back of the same old faces, and that would be encouraging as well. We're going to follow them down in the rooms, Jim, because, as we said, the Carlton supporters haven't seen them celebrate and sing that club song too often, so we'll stick with the Blues.
And these are the new rooms going down to the MCG, Gary. Very plush as they are, and players, I'm sure this song will be sung with plenty of gusto from the Blues.
I wonder if Big Josh has got the words down cold, Brian. He's never sung it before. It's...
Well, I'd ask our boys just to perhaps stay on Josh for linger on Josh Kennedy for a minute or two.
Jason Saddington, just to see whether he's got it all together just yet.
Yes,
and he's sung it once this year.
Yeah, no, it'll be very interesting, but been a tough week. Been in the news, as we said, for financial reasons, and I guess the best tonic of all for supporters, and they responded pretty well too. 500 or so extra members throughout the course of this week, which was a good thing. Now, we've got Josh Kennedy clearly in our sights.
Do they have the tradition of putting them in the middle or not?
Not sure.
I don't think they do. What's his second game?
To see if he can open up. Well, a bad rendition from the young man. It's been a big day at the MCG for the Blues. Thanks for your efforts, Jim Brayshaw. We're heading to a break. You can go home. Carlton by 33 points, 79-111 over the Bombers. 11-12, 78.